Chapter 3221. Challenging Dihao. You are Dihao? The demonic man stared at Dihao. Who are you? Dihao glanced coldly at the demonic man. My name is Su Yi, but I prefer to be called Wing King. The demonic man laughed coldly. I knew there were countless experts in the Blood Wave realm. Unfortunately, I haven't met a decent opponent in the Blood Wave realm for a few days. Now I finally meet an expert on the True Saint ranking. Dihao, I want to challenge you. The voice of the demonic man, Su Yi, reverberated through the entire void, causing the experts hiding in the surroundings to hear it clearly. They had all heard Su Yi's name, and at the same time, they had also heard Su Yi's challenge. Who is this Su Yi? Wing King Su Yi. I've never heard of him. He's probably a reclusive expert. However, since he dares to directly challenge Dihao, he should have some ability. The surrounding people were all looking forward to it. The Blood Wave realm had only opened for a few days, and there was still some time before the Blood Wave token came into being. Before the Blood Wave token came into being, there were so many experts gathered in this central area, and there were definitely some who wanted to spar with each other. This was especially so for the challenges on the True Saint list. Many previously unknown experts with extremely powerful strength wanted to become famous by challenging the experts on the True Saint list. And this Su Yi was now directly challenging Dihao. To challenge me, you must first be prepared to die. Dihao said coldly. Haha, since I dare to challenge you, I will naturally be mentally prepared. If you really have the ability, you can directly kill me. Su Yi laughed heartily. Cut the crap, look at the saber. Su Yi did not waste any more words. After Dihao accepted the challenge, he directly pulled out the blood-colored battle saber on his back. Clang! The saber was unsheathed, and a trace of blood light instantly lit up the sky. As Su Yi raised the saber, a large amount of blood light instantly swept out and occupied the void, making the entire world seem to sink into a blood-red world. And in this blood-red world, a shocking killing intent suddenly rose. This Su Yi, what a strong killing intent. Jian Wushuang stood around and watched. When he saw Su Yi waving the saber, a trace of shock flashed in his heart. This terrifying killing intent alone showed that Su Yi's strength was extraordinary. He had definitely grown up from a bloody storm. However, for some reason, he was not famous at all. Whoosh! If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. A saber light suddenly descended. The moment it descended, the shocking killing intent and the surrounding blood-red color all gathered in the saber, making the blood-red saber light exceptionally dazzling and bright. Humph! The blade light attacked. But Dihao only let out a cold snort as he swung the huge axe in his hand. It was a clean and neat strike, but the instant it was swung out, the world rumbled. The huge axe shadow seemed to have split apart the world as it appeared in front of the resplendent blood-red blade light. After that, the two collided head-on. Bang! With a loud bang, endless divine might formed waves of shock waves that swept wildly in all directions. After the loud bang, Su Yi's figure instantly shot out. Clearly in this head-on collision, Su Yi was at an absolute disadvantage. Bang! With a loud bang, Dihao was like an unrivaled demonic god, easily tearing through the air and killing his way out. He once again appeared in front of Su Yi, and then the second axe descended. This axe seemed to be able to split the sky and split the earth. It was incomparably domineering. All the surrounding spectators could sense an unstoppable force and might from this axe. Su Yi's pupils suddenly shrunk. Immediately, a bloody glow erupted from his body. Demon Slaughterer. Su Yi let out an explosive cry. He held the blade with both hands. The blood-colored battle blade in his hands suddenly expanded to 100 feet in length. A monstrous might swiftly gathered within the battle blade, after which he swung it once again. Clang! Another low collision sound rang out. This time, Su Yi was still directly sent flying. However, Dihao's body also trembled slightly, and then he took 2 steps back. Dihao's expression changed slightly. Clearly, he did not expect that he would be forced back by his opponent. A fierce glint could not help but flash past his eyes, and in the next moment, he abruptly took a step forward. Space exploded and Dihao appeared in front of Su Yi once again. Following that, he raised the huge axe in his hands. Buzz! A pitch-black axe shadow suddenly condensed in the middle of the battlefield. An unprecedented destructive aura also spread out from this axe shadow. The moment this axe shadow formed, the gazes of all the surrounding experts who were watching the battle were instantly attracted by this axe shadow. This axe shadow gave him a feeling that he could not block it. It was invincible. Jian Wushuang, Qian Hongzi, and the others looked at each other in dismay. They knew this axe, although it was not Di Hao's strongest axe, which combined the two principles of destruction and space-time. When they first met Thunder God, Di Hao had used this axe to knock him back. Even Thunder God, who was ranked 6th on the True Saint ranking, would be in a sorry state when faced with this attack. But this Sui, boom. Although Sui tried his best to use his strongest attack in an attempt to block this attack, his blade light was instantly destroyed by that axe shadow, and then his entire body was drowned by that shocking axe shadow. Wung wung. A terrifying power exploded in the center of the battlefield, and only after a long time did it regain its calm. When everything calmed down, the crowd looked over and saw Sui standing in the center of the battlefield, his body slightly trembling. His body was covered in a layer of blood-red armor. However, at this moment, a crack appeared in the middle of the blood-red armor. As for the god power aura on his body, it had been reduced by 10%. You received 3 strikes from me. Your divine body hasn't collapsed yet. Your strength isn't bad. Di Hao coldly glanced at Sui, but he had already put the giant axe back on his back. Apparently, he did not plan to attack again. As for Sui, his expression was somewhat unsightly. He deeply glanced at Di Hao and did not say anything else. He directly turned around and left. The moment Sui left, the surrounding void instantly became noisy. He lost. This Sui still lost. It's normal for him to lose. After all, he challenged the ranked 8th on the True Saint list, Di Hao. This Di Hao is too strong, especially that final strike he used. I feel that his strength isn't as simple as the 8th ranked on the True Saint list. He might even have a chance to break into the top 5. Although that Sui was defeated by Di Hao, he was able to take 3 of Di Hao's strikes head-on, yet his divine body didn't collapse. He can be considered extremely powerful. Many experts were discussing this quietly. Not many people were surprised by the result of this battle, but the 5 people from the Temporal Temple stood together with a playful smile on their faces. Chapter 32:22. Inviting people. This Sui is actually quite strong, said Qian Hongzi. He is indeed very strong. Conservatively speaking, he should be able to rank in the top 30 of the True Saint list. Compared to Su Xie, who was ranked 24th, there shouldn't be much of a difference. Unfortunately, he picked the wrong opponent, said Yu Yu with a smile. That's right. With his strength, if he were to challenge those ranked at the bottom of the True Saint list, there would really be a competition. Who would win or lose would still be unknown. Even if he were to challenge those ranked at the top, even if he couldn't win, he would at least be able to hold on for a period of time. However, he is challenging Di Hao. Duan Lang also smiled faintly. Di Hao was ranked 8th on the True Saint list, but this was a ranking from a long time ago. After entering the Blood Wave realm, the few of them had seen with their own eyes that Di Hao had directly suppressed Thunder God, who was ranked 6th. His strength could definitely be ranked in the top 5 of the True Saint list. And once he used the strongest axe made of the 2 great principles, Di Hao even had the combat strength of the top 3 of the True Saint list. Sui had no chance of struggling against Di Hao. He was defeated with only 3 strikes. There are too many experts in the central area. Before the competition for the Blood Wave token begins, there will be many challenges. If you see a suitable opponent nearby, you can also fight. Qian Hongzi smiled. Jian Wushuang and the others looked at each other with smiles on their faces. In the following time, they quietly waited in the open space. As time passed, more and more experts rushed to the central area. So the central area became more and more lively. All kinds of challenges and competitions were more frequent. But after all, it was just a challenge. Most people knew their limits and did not really kill. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, another 5 days had passed. At this time, It was already the 12th day since the Blood Wave realm opened. There was still some time before the Blood Wave token appeared. However, those top immortal saints who were qualified to enter the Blood Wave realm had almost all gathered in the central area. In the vast blood-colored world, whoosh, 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 3 figures quickly streaked through the air and arrived in front of a bald blood-colored mountain. "We're here." The leader of the 3 was a graceful and extremely charming woman, wearing a silver robe. This woman's face was extremely beautiful and could be said to be peerless in the world. Her every action was enough to cause one to dream about her. This was definitely a peerless beauty that could make many people go crazy over her. Not long after, there was news that someone saw that person rush into this mountain with his own eyes. With his temper, as long as he came to this central area, he shouldn't wander around. It would be best if he chose a quiet place to wait for the Blood Wave token to appear. The silver-robed woman said with a smile. "Is that guy in this mountain?" The 2 people beside him looked at the mountain in front of them with extremely solemn expressions. "To be honest, your mission this time is just to deal with a person who isn't even qualified to enter the true saint list. It's more than enough with the 3 of us. Are you sure you really want to enter this mountain and invite that person out?" The silver-robed charming woman said strangely. "If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. The 2 of us also think it's more than enough, but this is an order personally given by the top existences behind us. We don't dare to disobey." A golden-haired muscular man said coldly. "That's right. Perhaps the person we are going to kill has some extremely special reason. That is why the top existences behind us pay so much attention to it. They are afraid that he might escape if they appear." Another man with the appearance of an elegant young master also spoke. "Since that is the case, all right. The 3 of us will enter together." The silver-robed enchanting woman spoke, after which the 3 of them directly walked into the mountain. The expression of the silver-robed lady changed the moment they approached the mountain. "He is indeed here. I have already sensed him." The silver-robed lady opened her mouth. However, she continued, "He is here." Swoosh. A breeze blew over. Soon after, a human figure appeared in front of the 3 of them. The person who had appeared was wearing a loose long robe. He carried a green-colored long rod on his back. His face was handsome. His 2 sword-like eyebrows made him appear mighty, even though he was not angry. 9 Palace Saintess, Silver Wolf, and Guzhenzi, the 3 of you actually came to my place together? Do you want to have a big fight with me? The long-robed man carrying Brother Beast's long rod looked coldly at the 3 people in front of him. Hearing the long-robed man's words, the hearts of the 3 people who had come all went up. The 3 of them were all extremely famous. The silver-robed woman, the 9 Palace Saintess, was ranked 3rd on the True Saint list. She was ranked in the top 3, and she had even killed an invincible saint. The man who looked like a young master was even the Silver Wolf, who was ranked 5th on the True Saint list. As for the golden-haired muscular man Guzhenzi, he was ranked 10th on the True Saint list. One was ranked 3rd, one was ranked 5th, and one was ranked 10th. The 3 of them worked together, but they were still a little afraid of the long-robed man before them. There was nothing they could do because the man in the long robe was the Light King. He was ranked 1st on the True Saint list, the most powerful person in this era, and the only immortal saint in this era who could combine the 2 principles. Just thinking about how terrifying he was made people shudder. Although the 9 Temples Saintess, ranked 3rd, had also killed the invincible saint, she had spent a lot of effort to kill him. However, the Light King had killed the invincible saint. It was detailed on the True Saint list. The Light King had killed the invincible saint with only 1 stick. Yes, with just 1 stick, the invincible saint's divine body had been shattered, and he did not even have the chance to regenerate his divine body. Because of this, even if the 9 Temples Saintess, Silver Wolf, and Guzhenzi joined hands, they did not have much confidence in fighting the Light King. Among the immortal saints of the divine beginning realm, perhaps only the son of Saint Devil could fight this pervert in a head-on battle, the 9 Temples Saintess thought. She knew that she could not compete with the Light King. However, although the son of Saint Devil, who ranked 2nd on the True Saint list, did not fuse the two principles. The son of Saint Devil was a special life form with a huge innate advantage. With this advantage, perhaps he could have a face-to-face battle with the Light King. Light King, the three of us came here with no ill intentions. We're here to ask for your help, Silver Wolf said. Ask for my help? The Light King's lips curled up. I'm all alone. I don't have any dealings with you two saints. You want my help? I'm afraid you've come to the wrong person. Chapter 32-23. Proposed of the 30 experts on the True Saint list. Most of them were genius experts nurtured by some top organizations. However, there were also a few who were lone rangers. The Light King was one of the few lone rangers on the True Saint list. Moreover, his personality was quite arrogant. He rarely interacted with those top organizations in the Divine Beginning realm. As for Silver Wolf and Guzhenzi, one of them came from the Life and Death Divine realm, while the other came from the Flame Divine realm. Clearly, they were from the three great divine realms. Light King, don't be in a hurry to refuse. Take a look at this first. Silver Wolf waved his hand and threw a token toward the Light King. The Light King took the token and pondered for a moment. Then, he began to investigate the information inside the token. Silver Wolf and the other two were waiting there quietly. Do you think the Light King will agree? The Nine Temples Saintess asked curiously. I don't know. Silver Wolf shook his head. To be honest, I don't know what's inside the token. However, one of the higher-ups of my Life and Death Saint realm asked me to give the token to the Light King. He also said that as long as the Light King sees what's inside the token, he won't refuse. Oh. The Nine Palace Saintess raised her eyebrows. In front of them, the Light King went silent after reading the message inside the token. This silence lasted for a long time. After a long time, the Light King raised his head again, and a fierce light flashed in his eyes. Tell me, what do you want me to do for you? Hearing this, Silver Wolf, the Nine Palace Saintess, and Guzhenzi laughed. It seems that the Light King really can't refuse the item in the token. Nine Palace Saintess smiled. Light King, Silver Wolf said seriously, we need you to help us kill someone. With the strength of the three of you working together, there aren't many people in the Blood Wave realm who can't be killed. Who do you want to kill? Is it Saint Devil's son? The Light King frowned. Not the son of Saint Devil. This person doesn't even have the qualifications to enter the True Saint list. However, he has mastered an escape technique and is extremely difficult to deal with. In addition, he is a subordinate of the Temporal Temple. This time, the Temporal Temple has also sent 6 people into the Blood Wave realm. Among them, Dihao is extremely powerful. Thunder God and Wan Xian, who are from the Destruction Saint realm, were forced back by him. If I'm not mistaken, this Dihao already has the strength of the top 3 on the True Saint list. Silver Wolf said. Is that so? The Light King nodded slightly but then smiled. In other words, under the protection of the Temporal Temple, killing that person shouldn't be too difficult. When do we set off? Let's go now. We'll go to Thunder God's place first and meet up with them, Silver Wolf said. Soon the group of 4 set off. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Calm thanks. In the calm void, the remaining 8 members of the Destruction Saint realm gathered together. Thunder God and Wan Xian stood at a high place, staring straight ahead. At this moment, 4 figures suddenly charged forward. They're coming. Thunder God and Wan Xian's eyes lit up. In the blink of an eye, the 4 figures had appeared in front of them. 4 figures appeared one after another. However, upon seeing these 4 people, everyone from the Destruction Saint realm was stunned. This is Silver Wolf, ranked 5th on the True Saint list, and Guzhenzi ranked 10th. This woman is the Nine Temples Saintess, and the last one, the Light King. Oh my God! The experts from the Destruction Saint realm widened their eyes and looked at the 4 people in front of them in shock. Even Thunder God and Wan Xian were completely stunned. They had just received news from Sky Nether Master that experts from the other 2 Saint realms would rush over to join them and then kill Heavenly Sword Marquis together. However, he did not know who would come. They had thought that at most 2 people from the 2 Saint realms would come at the same time. But they did not expect. Other than the two most powerful saint realms, Silver Wolf and Guzhenzi, the Light King and the 9 Palace Saintess, who were ranked first on the True Saint ranking and third on the True Saint ranking, had also come? Thunder God, I don't need to tell you the purpose of our arrival. You already know it clearly. I'll ask you now. Do you know the location of the Temporal Temple's 6 people? Silver Wolf asked directly. Yes, of course I do. Thunder God nodded heavily. A few days ago, they had joined forces with the illusionary Moon Sky sect to kill the Temporal Temple's 6 people. But they were forced to retreat. Since then, although they no longer dared to cause trouble for the Temporal Temple, they had been keeping an eye on the Temporal Temple's 6 people. Of course, he knew the location of the Temporal Temple's 6 people. That's good. There's no time to lose. Let's set off now, Silver Wolf said. Okay. Thunder God nodded, and the people from the Destruction Saint realm stood up one after another. The group instantly flew in the direction of the Temporal Temple. And on the way, everyone, before we fight with the Temporal Temple's people, there are 2 things I have to tell you. The first thing is that the Temporal Temple's people have all comprehended the principles of space-time, and each of them has mastered teleportation. Heavenly Sword Marquis should have mastered it. So before we attack, we must completely seal the space-time where they are, to prevent them from using teleportation to escape, Thunder God said. Leave this to me, Guzhenzi said directly. I have a treasure in my hands that can instantly seal space-time. It covers an extremely wide area. I can activate this treasure before they even notice me. I can definitely seal the space-time they are in before they notice me, and use teleportation to escape. In that case, the first thing can be solved. Now the second thing is that Heavenly Sword Marquis' escape art is very strange, Thunder God said with a frown. The reason they had failed to kill the Illusion Moon sect was because of Jian Wushuang's escape art. They had suffered a loss because of Jian Wushuang's escape art. It's not difficult, 9 Palace Saintess said with a faint smile. I've heard of Heavenly Sword Marquis escape art. It was created by the Bloodblade Master many years ago. It's indeed very strange, but he's only a rank 6 true saint. I guess he has just started learning this escape art. Under normal circumstances, a peak saint who is good at soul can sense his existence through soul perception, and his escape art is even more so in front of me. The 9 Palace Saintess was extremely confident. After all, the 9 Palace Saintess was best at the soul. Her soul technique was widely recognized as the best among the immortal saints of this era. Jian Wushuang's shadowless escape skill could not be hidden from her. In addition to me, the Light King also has high attainments in the soul. He can also sense the existence of Heavenly Sword Marquis, the 9 Palace Saintess said with a smile. Since these 2 troublesome problems have been solved, Heavenly Sword Marquis will definitely die. Thunder God smiled. At this time Silver Wolf suddenly said, Everyone, I have a suggestion. Since we are going to kill the people of the Temporal Temple, why don't we just kill all 6 of them? Chapter 32-24. Golden Array kill all 6 members of the Temporal Temple? Everyone was stunned. Thunder God and Guzhenzi looked at each other, and a strange look flashed in their eyes. The 3 saint domains and the Temporal Temple were in a heated battle. Over the years, many experts from both sides had died in each other's hands, and they were used to fighting each other. This time, they were going to attack Heavenly Sword Marquis. If they could kill Heavenly Sword Marquis and the other 5 at the same time, that would be great. However, even though they had such thoughts, the Light King and the 9 Palace Saintess were not happy. I refuse, the Light King said directly. I refuse too, the 9 Palace Saintess said. Silver Wolf, the 3 saint realm are already powerful enough to fight against the Temporal Temple. It's fine for you to kill the Temporal Temple's people, but I'm different from the 9 Palace Saintess, the Light King said coldly. The Temporal Temple is, after all, one of the 3 great freedom alliances in the Divine Beginning realm. Moreover, they are extremely united. If we offend the Temporal Temple too harshly, not to mention an undying saint like me, even the Principal's master might not be able to withstand the anger of the Temporal Temple. The Light King knew very well that although he was the number 1 on the True Saint ranking, the publicly acknowledged strongest immortal saint of this era, He was just a little kid in front of a behemoth like the Temporal Temple. Not only did the Temporal Temple have many experts, but most importantly, each of them had a very high level of application of the space-time principles. If he was really targeted by the Temporal Temple, he would not even have the chance to escape. Therefore, he would at most help the 3 Saint Realms kill Jian Wushuang. As for killing all 6 members of the Temporal Temple, he was not so bold. Although the Temporal Temple is angry about killing Heavenly Sword Marquis alone, they won't deliberately target us. But once they kill all 6 members of the Temporal Temple here, they will become enemies with the Temporal Temple. Light King, and I don't have as big a background as you, the 9 Palace Saintess also said. Haha, I'm just saying. Silver Wolf could not help but laugh, but he felt a little regretful. The group continued to fly for a while. Everyone, we are about to arrive at the location of the 6 Temporal Temple people, said Thunder God. Gu Zhenzi, I'll leave it to you. Silver Wolf glanced at Gu Zhenzi. Okay. Gu Zhenzi nodded slightly and took out an object with a flip of his hand. It was a square-shaped gold stone, which was surrounded by a strange power. With a thought from Gu Zhenzi, a burst of bright golden light burst out from the stone. It covered the surroundings at an incredible speed, instantly covering the surrounding space and time. In an open space, Jian Wushuang, Dihao, Qian Hongzi, Yu Yu and Fei Xue gathered together, while Duan Lang, who was in the void, slowly rushed toward them. Duan Lang, good job. With the cultivation of a peak saint, you can directly fight against an invincible saint. After this battle, your reputation will definitely improve a lot. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. It's a pity that you couldn't defeat Lu Cheng. Otherwise, your reputation would be even greater. Qian Hongzi and the others laughed casually. Just now, Duan Lang took the initiative to challenge an invincible saint Lu Cheng, but in the end, neither side could do anything to the other, so they had to give up. Don't make fun of me. Lu Cheng is at the bottom among the invincible saints. Moreover, when he fought with me, I clearly felt that he didn't use his full strength. If he used his full strength, I'm afraid I would lose, Duan Lang said with a smile. That's true. Lu Cheng has comprehended the dark principles and is best at sneak attacks. Fighting head-on is not his strong point, Qian Hongzi said. Jian Wushuang stood aside with a strange look on his face. He had witnessed the fight between Duan Lang and Lu Cheng. Lu Cheng was also good at sneak attacks. During the fight with Duan Lang, he also used some sneak attacks, which also touched Jian Wushuang. Before entering the Blood Wave realm, Jian Wushuang had been comprehending the Blood Blade Sword art in the true martial mystic realm. He had almost comprehended the Blood Sword art, but he still felt that something was missing. However, this battle had made him more enlightened. It has only been 10 days since the Blood Wave realm opened, and it will still be some time before the Blood Wave token is born. Maybe I can comprehend the Blood Sword art before the Blood Wave token is born, and the competition begins, Jian Wushuang thought. Once he comprehended the Blood Blade Sword art, his assassination skills would reach a whole new level, and his overall battle strength would also soar. I hope I can make it in time, Jian Wushuang muttered. But at this moment, a sudden change occurred. Buzz! A burst of golden light suddenly lit up in the distant void. When everyone noticed and looked over, the golden light had already spread out and completely covered the surrounding space and time. A magic array? Oh no! Jian Wushuang and the people of the Temporal Temple were shocked. There were at least hundreds of experts in this space and time, and they were also shocked to see this scene. What's going on? Who used a magic array to seal this space and time? The fight for the Blood Wave token hasn't started yet, right? Why is he using a magic array to seal the space and time now? More people were at a loss. They did not know who had activated the golden array, nor did they know why they had activated it. After the array was completely formed, more than 10 figures rushed over from the source of the golden light. These 10 figures all emitted an extremely powerful divine power aura. Even the weakest one was a peak saint, and there were many invincible saints, especially the ones in the lead. Any one of them was enough to cause a stir in the Blood Wave realm. It was enough to cause a sensation in the Blood Wave realm. Over 100 experts in this space-time, had already sensed the arrival of these 10 people, and when they clearly saw their faces and knew who was behind them, they were all shocked. The 9th Palace Saintess ranked 3rd on the True Saint rankings, Silver Wolf of the Life and Death Saint realm, Gu Jinzi of the Flame Saint realm, and Thunder God, and Wuxia of the Destruction Saint realm. These 5 people are all experts on the True Saint ranking, and their rankings are extremely high. Why are they all gathered together? If these 5 people join forces, who in the Blood Wave realm can stop them? Exclamations sounded one after another. The 5 experts on the True Saint ranking were all ranked near the top. Such a lineup was naturally shocking. Hey, look at that person. The one walking at the back. Is that the Light King? At this moment, a voice filled with fear suddenly sounded. Hearing this, everyone's eyes were all focused on one person. Chapter 32:25, Death Silence. When the man in a long robe with a green staff on his back appeared at the end of the crowd, it was completely silent. A deathly silence. Everyone's eyes widened as they looked at this person in shock. If the lineup of the 9 Palace Saintess, Silver Wolf, Thunder God, Gu Jinzi, and Wuxia had shocked them, then the appearance of this long-robed man made everyone shudder from the depths of their hearts. The Light King, number 1 on the True Saint rankings. The publicly acknowledged number 1 expert among the invincible saints of this era. He actually came personally, and it was very obvious that he also belonged to the camp of the 3 great saint domains. The lineup of the 9 Palace Saintess, Silver Wolf, Thunder God, Gu Jinzi, Wuxia, and the already incomparably terrifying 5 people, plus a Light King? What did it mean? In the void, the 6 people of the Temporal Temple stood together and saw the people coming. When they saw the lineup, even Jian Wuxia and Di Hao, who were in the state of mind, felt a surge of emotions. The top immortal saints of the 3 saint realms are all here, plus the more terrifying Light King and 9 Palace Saintess? Qian Hongzi widened his eyes and looked terrified. Are they coming for us? Duan Lang was also shocked. As for Jian Wuxia, his face was extremely gloomy. He had guessed that once the 3 saint realms knew that he was in the Blood Wave realm, they would definitely try to kill him. However, the Blood Wave realm was too special. Even the 3 saint realms could not send experts with the battle strength above the Principal's Master realm. Therefore, the biggest possibility was for the immortal saints of the 3 saint realms to attack him in the Blood Wave realm. He was mentally prepared for these experts of the 3 great saint realms. Even if all the experts of the 3 great saint realms charged at him, he would not be surprised. However, the appearance of the Light King and the 9 Temple Saintess was indeed beyond his expectations. Especially the Light King. Even he admired this expert who had fused 2 different principles at the level of the immortal saint and had a certain level of attainments in the soul. But now, the other party had charged in front of him. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. What should we do? We can't fight against such a lineup, Qian Hongzi said directly. Everyone in the Temporal Temple fell silent, including Di Hao. Indeed, if they had the chance to fight against the combined forces of the Destruction Saint Realm and the Illusionary Moon Sect, then the lineup in front of them was not something they had a chance to fight against. Just the Light King alone brought them incomparable pressure. Everyone, do you remember what I said before? Jian Wuxia glanced at the 5 people around him. The 5 people were stunned. Of course they remembered. Jian Wuxia had said before that once the opponent's lineup was so strong that they had no chance to fight back, he would let the 5 of them escape first and leave them alone. Later, do as I say. As long as there's a chance, you should leave quickly. Don't hesitate, Jian Wuxia said in a low voice. Understood. The 5 of them nodded silently. At this time, the people from the 3 saint realms had also appeared in front of Jian Wuxia and the other 6. The 2 sides were less than a few hundred meters away from each other, facing each other from a distance. Seeing this scene, the hundreds of experts in this space-time immediately understood. The top experts of the 3 saint realms, including the Light King and the 9 Temple Saintess, are coming to the Temporal Temple. That's right. In this Temporal Temple, No other force has such an incredible lineup. The top experts of the three Saint Realms alone are terrifying. With the Light King and the 9 Temples Saintess, the people of the Temporal Temple are doomed. Many people secretly sighed. Heavenly Sword Marquis. A cold voice came out of Thunder God's mouth. His eyes were cold as he stared at Jian Wushuang and said, "You were lucky to escape from the previous battle. But this time, try to escape from us again." Haha, Thunder God, you must be joking. The three Saint Realms spent so much effort this time. Especially invited Light King and 9 Temples Saintess, and Gu Zhenxi's magic array to seal the time and space. If he, a rank 6 true saint, escapes, the three Saint Realms will become a joke. Silver Wolf smiled. It was obvious that Silver Wolf had absolute confidence in this attack, so he was still in the mood to joke around. He was not the only one. The other experts of the three Saint Realms were also in the same situation. There was no other way. In the current situation, not to mention Jian Wushuang was only a rank 6 true saint. Even a powerful expert on the true saint list would find it difficult to survive. While the three Saint Realms were chatting and laughing, Jian Wushuang also spoke. "I have indeed underestimated the three Saint Realms. I didn't expect that you could even invite the Light King and the 9 Temples Saintess. I heard that the Light King is arrogant, while the 9 Temples Saintess is high and mighty. She seldom deals with the various forces, but now it seems that this is not the case." Heavenly Sword Marquis, you are wrong. It's true that the Light King and I rarely interacted with other forces, but nothing is absolute. The three Saint Realms offered conditions that neither I nor the Light King could refuse, so naturally, we will also help. The 9 Temples Saintess said with a faint smile. "Is that so?" Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows and then nodded secretly. Indeed, in this world, profit was the most important thing. The top experts of the three Saint Realms who are ranked on the True Saint list have all arrived. In addition to the 2 Saintess, Light King and 9 Temples Saintess, it seems that it's impossible for me to escape from you today. Jian Wushuang sighed. It seemed that he already knew that he was going to die. But at this moment, he suddenly changed the topic. "I'm the only one you want to kill. It doesn't matter if I die, but the 5 people around me should have nothing to do with this. I wonder if you can let them leave first." Hearing Jian Wushuang's words, Silver Wolf, Thunder God, and Gu Zhenxi looked at each other. "Sure." Silver Wolf nodded directly. Their real target was Jian Wushuang. As for Di Hao and the others, they wanted to kill them, but Light King and 9 Temples Saintess were not willing to do so, so they had no choice. Since they could not leave Di Hao and the others behind, they might as well let them go. It would save them a lot of trouble. 5 of you, please leave first." Jian Wushuang glanced at the 5 people beside him, brothers of the Heavenly Marquis. Qian Hongzi, Duan Lang, Yu Yu and Fei Xue all had ugly expressions on their faces. They looked at Jian Wushuang deeply, and thought of what Jian Wushuang had said before. The 4 of them turned around and left. As for Di Hao, he did not move. Chapter 32-26, Di Hao and Light King Di Hao. Jian Wushuang looked at Di Hao with a frown. "They can just leave. As for me," Di Hao's face darkened. "It's rare for me to meet Light King, the first on the True Saint list. How can I leave so easily?" Jian Wushuang was stunned. Light King also looked at Di Hao. "Di Hao, do you mean you want to challenge me?" "Yes." Di Hao nodded. "Everyone in the Divine Beginning realm thinks you're the #1 immortal saint. I'd like to know how big the gap is between you and us." "Okay, I'll help you." Light King smiled calmly. Hearing their conversation, everyone present was stunned. Di Hao wants to challenge the Light King? Challenge the #1 on the True Saint rank? He wants to challenge the strongest immortal saint. This Di Hao is only ranked 8th on the True Saint rank. Where did he get the courage to challenge the Light King? Many experts in this sealed space started to discuss. Most people felt that Di Hao was too bold. Not to mention that he was only ranked 8th on the True Saint ranking. Even the top 5, or even the top 3 ranked 9 Temples Saintess would not dare to challenge the Light King. But Di Hao did it. This Di Hao. Thunder God and Wan Xian looked at each other, their pupils constricting. Since no one thought highly of Di Hao, the 2 of them did not think that he was arrogant. After all, the two of them had fought with Dihao before. Moreover, both of them were defeated by Dihao. In their eyes, although Dihao was only ranked 8th on the True Saint ranking, in terms of strength, he was definitely much stronger than Silver Wolf, who was ranked 5th on the True Saint ranking. In fact, he might even be ranked in the top 3. Such a terrifying expert was qualified to challenge the Light King directly. Originally, the people of the Three Saint Realms had come to kill Jian Wushuang. But now, because of Dihao's challenge, everyone's attention was focused on Dihao and the Light King, so no one paid attention to Jian Wushuang for the time being. Anyway, this space-time had been completely sealed, so the people of the Three Saint Realms were not worried that Jian Wushuang would escape or something would happen. In their opinion, no matter what happened, it would not change the outcome of Jian Wushuang's death. In the void, Dihao and Light King were facing each other from a distance. "Dihao, use all your skills, or you won't have a chance," Light King said in a low voice. "As you wish." Dihao's eyes turned cold, but he suddenly took a step forward. Boom. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. The void under Dihao's feet exploded, as if it was going to collapse completely. He had already rushed to the front of Light King and swung his giant axe. It carried a world-shaking destructive aura, as if it wanted to split the world in half. Seeing Dihao make his move, the Light King did not have any intention of moving at first. It was not until Dihao's axe swung down and appeared in front of the Light King. He pulled out the green long staff behind him. Then, he simply stabbed forward. This stab was simple and casual, but it contained a strange force. When the long staff stabbed out, a blinding light appeared out of nowhere. The long staff came into direct contact with the huge axe. Just as the two forces started to collide, the Light King suddenly twisted his wrist. The green long staff was like a poisonous snake, as it directly rushed toward Dihao's head. Under the endless light, Dihao could not even open his eyes, and could only barely block the huge axe in front of him. Bang! A low sound of collision rang out, and a terrifying power passed through the huge axe to Dihao's divine body, causing his divine body to tremble slightly, and his body could not help but retreat. Haha! The Light King let out a hearty laugh, and the green long rod in his hand was like a green thunderbolt, casually smashing out. This kind of smashing was like an adult hitting a child. There was no technical content. It was just an incomparably tyrannical crushing. Dihao's forte was the principles of destruction and the principles of space-time. The power of the principles of destruction was incomparably tyrannical. He also used a huge axe. Logically speaking, in terms of power, he should be the best. However, facing this incomparably tyrannical rod technique of the Light King, he actually appeared to be in an incomparably miserable state. Bang! 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 After exchanging blows, Dihao was clearly at an absolute disadvantage. However, at this moment a heaven-shaking destructive aura suddenly surged out from Dihao's body. This destructive aura formed streams of destructive chi currents that gathered around Dihao's body. In the blink of an eye, they actually formed a gigantic destruction beast. This beast of destruction was incomparably savage. It was purely born for destruction. And the moment this beast of destruction made a move, the divine power aura on Dihao's body suddenly soared by a large chunk. "Break for me!" Dihao exploded. The huge axe in his hand suddenly swung out, and in an instant, that destructive aura soared to the extreme. Everyone around the battlefield felt an unparalleled and unstoppable destructive power. This power seemed to be able to destroy everything. Facing this axe, even the Light King's eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. But then he held the staff with both hands. Pa! A clear sound of air being torn apart rang out. The staff that contained boundless light power smashed onto the huge axe like lightning. With a bang, the void trembled. In the next moment, under everyone's shocked gazes, the Light King's figure actually retreated explosively. It was only after a long while that his figure came to a halt once again. Haha, Dihao, looks like everyone has underestimated you. Your strength is definitely not only ranked 8th on the True Saint rankings. You can at least rank 5th, or even 4th. I reckon that you are only slightly inferior to the 9 temples saintess. The Light King laughed heartily. His eyes also flickered with a dense radiance. Dihao's expression was still cold. Although his axe had indeed repelled the Light King, at the same time, he also knew that the reason why he was able to repent the Light King was because the latter had not used his full strength. Dihao, I will use the fusion power of the 2 great principles next. You have to be careful. If you are accidentally killed by me, don't blame me. The Light King said again. When these words were said, everyone present felt a shock in their hearts. The Light King had fused the 2 great principles at the level of the immortal saint. However, when the Light King and Dihao fought earlier, he had only used the principles of light. However, he had never used the principles of wind, much less the fusion power of the 2 great principles. Until now, the Light King was finally going to use his full strength. Dihao, take this move of mine, earth-shattering staff. The Light King continued to laugh loudly as he held the green long staff in one hand. His might suddenly soared, and he immediately smashed it forward without any fancy moves. Chapter 32:27. Ending one's own life. Boom. Green rod shadows appeared out of thin air. These green rod shadows overlapped each other and completely gathered together. In addition, these green rod shadows also contained 2 different types of principles energy. The principles of light and the principles of wind, 2 different types of principles energy, perfectly fused together. It was because of the fusion of these 2 different types of principles energy that this staff strike was incomparably terrifying. Looking at this staff strike, Dihao's pupils constricted. In the next moment, the destructive aura around his body rose explosively, and the huge axe in his hand was also raised high up. At the instant he raised it, a shocking might started to gather within the huge axe, and 2 different types of principles energy pervaded from it. These 2 types of principles energy were the destruction principles and the space-time principles. This axe, it also has 2 great principles. Heavens, could it be that this Dihao has fused 2 great principles as well? The surrounding spectators were all stunned. The 9 temples saintess, Silver Wolf, Guzhenzi, and the others were all shocked. The Light King's staff technique contained 2 great principles at the same time. This was within everyone's expectations. After all, they knew that the Light King had fused 2 great laws. But Dihao, no one had ever heard of him fusing 2 principles. But this axe clearly contained the power of 2 different principles. It's this axe. Thunder God and Wan Xian looked at each other. They knew this axe. Previously, when they joined hands, they were forced back by Dihao's axe. In the center of the battlefield, under everyone's gaze, Dihao's axe had finally arrived. Wang! A terrifying might suddenly erupt from the center of the battlefield. The surrounding heaven and earth also darkened at this moment. The heaven and earth were covered in darkness, as if they had sunk into a void of space and time. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Even the sound had completely disappeared. In this boundless darkness, this unparalleled axe came into direct contact with the shocking staff of the Light King. At the instant of contact, an explosive boom reverberated in the air. The sound was deafening, causing many people's hearts to tremble. Not long after the collision, the difference between the 2 forces was revealed. The matchless axe, which contained the principles of destruction and space-time, began to crumble. The huge axe was smashed in a different direction, while Dihao's figure shot backward in a sorry state. He did not stop until he reached the edge of the battlefield. After he stopped, Dihao's face darkened, and blood trickled down from the corner of his mouth. Apparently, his divine body had suffered a lot of damage from this collision. He lost. Dihao lost in the end. Didn't his axe contain the power of 2 principles at the same time? He also fused 2 principles. How could he lose? The surrounding spectators exclaimed in shock. There were also many people who were puzzled. When Dihao used that axe just now, many people subconsciously felt that he could contend against the Light King. However, they did not expect that in a head-on battle, such a huge gap appeared in an instant. However, some experts who were strong and had a high vision immediately saw through it. That's not right. Although Dihao's axe contains two principles, it doesn't feel like the two principles have perfectly fused together. They haven't perfectly fused together. It's just that they complement each other. It's still far from the true fusion of principles. No matter what, for this Dihao to be able to use such an axe is already very impressive. Everyone sighed. In the center of the battlefield, the Light King laughed out loud. Haha, Dihao, it seems like I have to take back what I said. I thought that your strength could only be ranked third on the true saint ranking, and was still a little far from the 9 Temples Saintess. However, that axe of yours, although it wasn't a perfect fusion of the two laws, it could still be superimposed. To be able to do this, your strength isn't weaker than the 9 Temples Saintess, it's even stronger. Yes. Then you can be ranked third on the true saint ranking, just behind me and the Saint Devil's son. The Light King had clearly recognized Dihao's strength in front of everyone. He even thought that Dihao could be ranked third on the true saint ranking, ahead of the 9 Temples Saintess. This made the 9 Temples Saintess frown slightly, but she did not refute him. Indeed, Dihao, who had used that axe earlier, was slightly stronger than her in terms of strength. However, after hearing the Light King's words, Dihao said in a low voice, I only managed to superimpose the two great principles. I can't compare to you perfectly fusing the two great principles together. I didn't intend to defeat you in the first place. I just wanted to know how much of a gap there was between us. But now it seems that the gap is ridiculously large. If I'm not wrong, you shouldn't have used the power of the fusion of the two great principles to the maximum, right? Haha, smart. I only used about 50% of the power of the fusion of the two principles. The Light King laughed. Hearing this, Dihao smiled bitterly. The surrounding spectators were all shocked. They did not expect that the move that the Light King used just now, which easily suppressed Dihao's strongest move, did not even go all out. He had only used 50% of the power of the two principles. If he had used 100% of the power of the two principles, how strong would he be? Just thinking about it made them shudder. Well, this battle has come to an end. Now it's time to get down to business. Silver Wolf's voice suddenly sounded. Then everyone turned to look at Jian Wushuang. The battle between Dihao and the Light King was just a sudden change. However, the real purpose of the three Saint Realms' painstaking effort to kill their way here was ultimately Jian Wushuang. Heavenly Sword Marquis. Everyone from the Temporal Temple has left except Dihao. Now you can die in peace, Thunder God said coldly. Before Dihao and Light King fought, Qian Hongzi and the other three had already left the space-time zone. They left proudly after Gu Jinzi opened a space passage around the golden array. Gu Jinzi sealed the passage again, but Jian Wushuang still had no chance to escape. Heavenly Sword Marquis, you have no chance to survive in front of us. Since you are also a world-shaking genius, it'll give you a chance to kill yourself, Silver Wolf said. Kill myself? Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows, and a strange smile appeared on his face. Do you think you are qualified to kill me? Chapter 32-28. The Battle Between Trapped Beasts _ Do you think you are worthy of me killing myself? Jian Wushuang's mocking voice reverberated in the air. As he spoke, the divine power aura around his body suddenly surged, and the Blood Mountain sword, which was emitting a faint cold light, appeared in his hand. A surge of fighting spirits soared into the sky. This scene made the people of the three Saint Realms chuckle. It seems that he intends to fight a cornered beast, Silver Wolf said with a smile. He's really stubborn. Well, since he doesn't want to kill himself, we can only waste some effort, Gu Jinzi said. I'll do it. Thunder God's eyes were filled with killing intent. I had 2 encounters with the Temporal Temple in the Destruction Saint Realm. Because of Heavenly Sword Marquis, I lost 1 person each. I should kill Heavenly Sword Marquis myself. Silver Wolf and Gu Jinzi looked at each other. Neither of them had any objections. However, Heavenly Sword Marquis escape technique is quite strange. The 9 Temples Saintess, how about giving me a hand? Thunder God looked at the 9 Temples Saintess. Sure. 9 Temples Saintess did not refuse. In that case, let's kill him, Thunder God said. A large amount of dark purple lightning suddenly appeared on his body. With a flash of his body, a bolt of lightning suddenly burst out. The moment Thunder God moved, 9 Temple Saintess suddenly looked at Jian Wushuang. Heavenly Sword Marquis, look, am I beautiful? 9 Temple Saintess opened her mouth slightly and raised her hand slightly, showing her charm. 9 Temple Saintess was a peerless beauty. Her every move was enough to make many people dream about her. But now, her casual gesture made many people's eyes become fiery. As for Jian Wushuang, his pupils suddenly shrank. He had already sensed a unique power coming toward him. This power was constantly affecting his state of mind and consciousness. In the end, it even intended to completely occupy his consciousness. This is charm. Jian Wushuang was shocked, and at the same time, he immediately recalled the scene he had seen. It was a long time ago, when he had just been born in this life. He had met a mysterious woman, Mu Xiaoxiao, who was Miss Shower. Back then, he had seen Miss Shower make several cultivators commit suicide with a simple word and a look. At that time, Miss Shower did not use soul control but seduction, just like the seduction technique used by the 9 Temple Saintess. With a single move, she would completely occupy the other party's consciousness and make her listen to his arrangements. Humph, you want to control me with a mere charm? If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Jian Wushuang's expression was cold, but there was a fierce glint in his eyes. With just a slight shake of his body, he immediately dispelled that power. He actually blocked my charm so easily. This Heavenly Sword Marquis has quite a strong state of mind. The 9 Temple Saintess was surprised. She did not know that Jian Wushuang had lived 2 lives and had grown up through endless trials and blood. His heart had long been like a rock. Although the charm of 9 Temple Saintess was amazing, and it was not easy for an ordinary peak saint to resist his charm, it was not realistic for it to affect Jian Wushuang. Unfortunately, it's useless to block it, said the 9 Temple Saintess. Jian Wushuang's expression changed because while he was blocking the enchantment skill of the 9 Temple Saintess, the Thunder God had already appeared in front of him, and it was a cold long spear. Under the cover of the dark purple thunder, it had already pierced straight toward Jian Wushuang's chest. Jian Wushuang had just gotten rid of the charm, so he had no time to defend against the spear. Bang! With a loud sound, the spear pierced Jian Wushuang's divine body and instantly penetrated the golden armor on his body. It almost penetrated Jian Wushuang's entire divine body. After the spear pierced his divine body, the large amount of thunder power contained in the spear destroyed everything. At that moment, not only did it directly destroy Jian Wushuang's divine body, but it also destroyed a lot of Jian Wushuang's divine power. Buzz! The majestic divine power churned, and Jian Wushuang's divine body reassembled again. He stood in the void and looked at the 9 Temple Saintess and Thunder God in front of him, frowning slightly. 9 Temple Saintess, ranked 3rd on the True Saint list, is extremely good at the soul and knows seductive techniques. My shadowless escape technique is useless in front of him. As for Thunder God, he is also very powerful. I can't even withstand a casual attack from him. When the 2 of them join hands, I have no chance to fight back. Jian Wushuang murmured, but in the next moment, a hint of determination flashed in his eyes. Since I can't fight him head-on, I'll use my trump card. 6 Paths of Reincarnation. Jian Wushuang moved slightly, but immediately, a surge of power of the principles of reincarnation swept up. A large amount of divine power surged, instantly forming a huge divine power sea. But the divine power in the divine power sea was being consumed at a crazy rate. Hell Dao, extremely hot hell. Wang. The originally vast divine power sea that filled the sky actually evaporated in an instant. Under the influence of the power of reincarnation, the heaven and earth began to change. In the blink of an eye, the entire heaven and earth became completely red, as if it was completely in a furnace, and the temperature of this furnace, incredibly high. Zzz. The void was crazily emitting hot air. The entire heaven and earth, and the endless void seemed to be melting directly. The 6 Paths of Reincarnation was an ultimate secret skill that Jian Wushuang had comprehended in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. This secret skill was also one of Jian Wushuang's strongest trump cards. When he was a rank 4 true saint, he had used this trump card to kill a rank 7 true saint. But now this secret technique was once again used from his hands. But in the end, the temperature is quite high. Even I need to use my divine power to resist this scorching heat. Thunder God was deep in the extremely hot hell, but his expression was quite cold. Clearly this extremely hot hell did not affect him too much. If even he was like this, then the 9 temples saintess, who was stronger than him, could easily resist the temperature of this extremely hot hell. Seeing this, Jian Wushuang was not surprised. Hell Dao, extremely cold hell. Jian Wushuang clenched his teeth and shouted. Buzz! The scorching red heaven and earth suddenly disappeared and was replaced by ice cold. The vast world, time and space suddenly frozen up. Chapter 32:29. The lonely hell. It was extremely cold. Crack! Crack! A large amount of mist appeared in the air, as if it was about to crack. The 9 temples saintess and thunder god, who had entered the extremely cold hell from the extremely hot hell, were immediately eroded by this shocking coldness. This chill is several times stronger than the previous heat. Although I can resist it, my divine power is being used up very quickly. Thunder God frowned slightly, but he did not feel too uncomfortable. As for the 9 temples saintess, she looked at Jian Wushuang in surprise and said, although Heavenly Sword Marquis realm is very low, he has a lot of tricks. The secret skill he is using now is very powerful. But his comprehension of reincarnation principles seems to be too low. Otherwise, it would be difficult for me to resist this move. Indeed, the 6 paths of reincarnation was a very powerful and terrifying secret skill. However, the power of this secret skill was closely related to his comprehension of the reincarnation principles. The higher Jian Wushuang's comprehension of the reincarnation principles, the more terrifying this move would be. Jian Wushuang had been studying the space-time principles for 300 years on the time-space island. His comprehension of the space-time principles had greatly improved, but he had also made some progress in the reincarnation principles. However, the progress was relatively small. His comprehension of the reincarnation principles was still at rank 3, which was still far from rank 4. This level of comprehension was at most comparable to that of a rank 7 true saint. But it was not enough in front of a peak saint, or even an invincible saint, because the level of this secret skill was too high. Now, he could only cause some trouble for the 9 temples saintess and thunder god by using these 2 hells. But only a little trouble. The extreme heat hell and the extreme cold hell alone can't do anything to them. In that case, I can only rely on the last move. Jian Wushuang's eyes were cold as he looked at the extreme cold hell. The 9 temples saintess and thunder god, who still did not show much discomfort, glanced at him. The next moment he pointed at them again. The 3rd stage of the Hell Dao, the solitary hell. Buzz! The endless power of reincarnation suddenly swept out. The extreme cold hell disappeared in an instant, and was replaced by boundless darkness. Darkness? Yes, it was darkness. The darkness was boundless, and there was no light at all. It was like a boundless void. The 9 temples saintess and thunder god had completely fallen into the boundless dark void. As for Jian Wushuang, he stood outside the boundless dark void and quietly watched the scene inside. At first, the 9 temples saintess and thunder god appeared quite calm in the boundless dark void. However, after a short while, thunder god's expression began to change slightly. After a while, a trace of irritation appeared on thunder god's face. Moreover, this irritation was becoming more and more intense. In the end, if you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Numerous maniacal roars were suddenly emitted from Thunder God's mouth. Blood also appeared in Thunder God's eyes. He crazily rushed about in the endless dark void. At the same time, he repeatedly waved the long spear in his hand and stabbed at the surrounding void. However, he did not touch anything. His condition was clearly becoming more and more violent. What's going on? What happened to the Thunder God? Why did the Thunder God become like this? The surrounding spectators were all puzzled. They did not understand why the Thunder God became like this. What exactly did he encounter in the endless dark void? Something's not right. Silver Wolf's expression sank. I can see it. Why don't we attack directly? Guzhenzi said. Don't be anxious. Let's take a look first, Silver Wolf said. At this moment, the Nine Temples Saintess, who had also fallen into the boundless dark void, suddenly raised her beautiful eyes. The instant she did so, a green light suddenly shone in the surroundings. After that, all the fog that appeared in front of the Nine Temples Saintess disappeared. So that's how it is. What a terrifying method. Even I have fallen into it for such a long time. The Nine Temples Saintess smiled coldly. After that, she directly looked toward the almost crazed Thunder God. Humph! With a cold snort, the Nine Temples Saintess' eyes once again shot out a green light toward Thunder God. Under the green light, Thunder God also began to break free. After breaking free, Thunder God felt a lingering fear. What a terrifying illusion! Thunder God was a little shocked. No, this is not an illusion, but a unique secret skill of reincarnation. If I'm not wrong, we just fell into a world of reincarnation, which is endless. If we can't break free from this world of reincarnation, then we can only continue to walk forward and endure the endless loneliness. In the short term it's fine, but in the long term, more than 10 people will probably go crazy. Nine Temples Saintess said. Thunder God's body trembled slightly. He stared at Jian Wushuang and said, This kid has such a terrifying skill. Fortunately, Nine Temples Saintess helped me. Otherwise, I would have been killed by him. Thunder God knew how dangerous his situation was. He was so close to losing his mind. Jian Wushuang felt a little regretful when he saw that Nine Temples Saintess and Thunder God had escaped from the lonely hell. It's a pity that although I can deal with Thunder God, I'm still far from being able to deal with Nine Temples Saintess, who is good at soul and charm skills. Jian Wushuang shook his head secretly. 6 paths of reincarnation, the 3rd level of Hell Dao, Lonely Hell, and even the most terrifying move in Hell Dao. The Lonely Hell had the same meaning as its name, which was the word lonely. Once he fell into the lonely hell, if he could not rely on his powerful state of mind to break free from the lonely hell, then he would stay in the lonely hell for an extremely long time. Just now, it looked like it was just a moment. But in reality, the Nine Temples Saintess and Thunder God had already stayed in the lonely hell for tens of thousands of years. After all, they had been alone in the endless darkness for tens of thousands of years, and they could not see a single ray of light or hear a single sound. They could only walk forward aimlessly. This kind of feeling was not something an ordinary person could bear. Even Thunder God almost lost his state of mind and almost fell into a crazy state after tens of thousands of years of absolute loneliness. Fortunately, at the last moment, the Nine Temples Saintess saved him. Chapter 3230. Endless Divine Power _ In the end, my understanding of the principles of reincarnation is too low. Jian Wushuang sighed quietly. The move of the solitary hell was absolutely extraordinary, but he could only use it with great difficulty. He could not use its full power at all. That was why the Nine Temples Saintess could easily break out of the lonely hell. But if he had a better understanding of the reincarnation principles and reached the 4th stage, the lonely hell he used would be several times stronger than the one he used now. Under such circumstances, maybe the Nine Temples Saintess could still stubbornly break out of the reincarnation hell, but she definitely could not help Thunder God. And Thunder God, who was trapped in the lonely hell, would become a crazy demon after a short while. Heavenly Sword Marquis. Thunder God's eyes were filled with unprecedented killing intent as he stared at Jian Wushuang. He never expected that he had just walked through the gates of hell, and the one who forced him into a dangerous situation was only a rank 6 true saint. Naturally, Thunder God was angry. His anger could only be appeased by Jian Wushuang's blood. Die! Thunder God did not give Jian Wushuang any chance to use any more tricks. His body turned into a flash of lightning and flashed out again. The moment Thunder God moved, Jian Wushuang also immediately flashed and disappeared in front of Thunder God. Is it the escape skill again? Thunder God frowned. There he is. The Nine Temples Saintess pointed in a direction. Thunder God immediately stabbed the lightning-covered spear in the direction, that the Nine Temples Saintess had pointed. Whoosh! The lightning flashed and cut through the air. The spear instantly appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang's face darkened. With the Nine Temples Saintess around, his shadowless escape skill could not be of much use. Now, he could only use all his strength to defend against Thunder God's spear. Bang! When the sword light came into direct contact with the spear, the terrifying power directly pressed down on Jian Wushuang. At the same time, the unbridled dark purple thunder directly covered Jian Wushuang's divine body. With a series of crackling sounds coming from Jian Wushuang's divine body, his divine body collapsed again. Continue. Thunder God was full of killing intent. Before Jian Wushuang's divine body reassembled, he had already attacked Jian Wushuang again. Jian Wushuang also tried his best to resist, but unfortunately, the gap between his strength and Thunder God's was too big. Thunder God held two long spears. Any one of them contained the power of thunder, and could easily crush him. Basically, when Thunder God thrust his spear, Jian Wushuang's divine body would immediately collapse. There was no room for struggle. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. It seems there is no suspense. There is no suspense, but the technique that Heavenly Sword Marquis used just now was quite impressive. Even Thunder God was almost killed. The difference in strength is too big. When Heavenly Sword Marquis faced Thunder God, his divine body would be destroyed again and again. How many times can a rank 6 true saint have his divine body? He is doomed. The spectators sighed one after another, as if they had already seen Jian Wushuang being killed by Thunder God. Dihao frowned slightly. Although he was worried about Jian Wushuang's current situation, he could only shake his head secretly after taking a glance at Light King. He wanted to help Jian Wushuang, but he did not have the ability. After all, Light King was not a decoration. If he attacked, Light King would definitely stop him. In just a moment, Thunder God had attacked 10 times, and Jian Wushuang's divine body had been destroyed 10 times. Under normal circumstances, if a true saint's divine body had been destroyed 10 times, he would have died. But Jian Wushuang, when Thunder God saw Jian Wushuang's divine body reassembled again, his expression finally changed a little. What's going on with Heavenly Sword Marquis? Thunder God stared at Jian Wushuang. His divine body has been destroyed 10 times. If it were an ordinary person, even a powerful invincible saint, his divine power would have been exhausted and he would have died. However, not only did he not die, but his divine power aura also did not seem to be weakened. He was not the only one who noticed this. The spectators also noticed this. Heavenly Sword Marquis is still alive. Not only is he not dead, but his divine power aura seems to be very abundant as well. What's going on? The spectators were extremely shocked. One had to know that a cultivator's divine power, aura, was also related to the divine power he possessed. If the cultivator's divine power aura was extremely abundant, then his divine power aura would naturally be at its peak. If a cultivator consumed a lot of divine power, his divine power aura would be weakened. But now, Jian Wushuang's divine body had been reconstructed 10 times. But his divine power aura was not weakened at all? How can his divine power be so vast? Silver Wolf and Guzhenzi, who were watching the battle, were shocked. At this moment, Thunder God looked at the Nine Temples Saintess. Nine Temples Saintess, this kid is very strange. His divine power seems to be endless. Although I have destroyed his divine body time and time again, it is very difficult to kill him. So, I will have to rely on you. Please use your strongest move and destroy his soul. I don't believe that he can survive after his soul is destroyed. Thunder God's eyes were full of murderous intent. Hearing Thunder God's words, the Nine Temples Saintess frowned, but she did not refuse. Since I've agreed to help you 3 Saint Realms, I'll do my best. Just leave Heavenly Sword Marquis to me. The Nine Palace Saintess had absolute confidence. It was not strange. After all, she was the immortal saint with the strongest soul in the divine beginning realm. In the void, the Nine Temples Saintess was still as charming as before. However, at this moment, a green light surged out from her beautiful eyes. This green light was extremely dense. It was as though energy was crazily gathering in the sky. This was indeed the case. The Nine Temples Saintess was accumulating her strongest killing move. Buzz! Dense green light gathered in the eyes of the Nine Temples Saintess, making her two sides look like two huge green suns. Looking at these two green suns, everyone around the battlefield, I can almost feel the shudders in my soul. These two green suns are for the soul. Kill it. Nine Temple Saintess gently spit out two words. These two words say is so light. As soon as she finished speaking, the two green suns in her eyes instantly turned into two green arcs of light and shot toward Jian Wushuang. The two green arcs of light were so fast that Jian Wushuang could not resist them at all. They immediately entered his divine body and easily destroyed the exquisite pagoda in his sea of consciousness. Then, they directly destroyed his soul. Chapter 32-31. Nemesis. The Nine Temples Saintess was the strongest soul expert among the immortal saints in the divine beginning realm. Like the Light King, although he had fused the principles of light and wind while also studying the soul, his attainment in the soul aspect was not as good as the Nine Temples Saintess, and the most powerful move of the Nine Temples Saintess, which was aimed at the destruction of the soul, was something that few of the immortal saints could resist. Moreover, the Nine Temples Saintess had used this most powerful move to kill an invincible saint, which ranked third on the true saint list. In other words, her most powerful move aimed at the destruction of the soul was something that even an ordinary invincible saint could not resist. However, Jian Wushuang was only a rank 6 true saint. Although his soul was relatively tough, and he had the exquisite pagoda, he still could not block the move of the Nine Temple Saintess. After the green light entered Jian Wushuang's body, almost everyone present could sense that Jian Wushuang's soul had been annihilated and disappeared. Once his soul was annihilated, he would naturally die. Thanks, what a pity. A top-notch genius died just like that. It is said that Heavenly Sword Marquis could kill a rank 7 true saint at the level of a rank 4 true saint. But he is only a rank 6 true saint now. We have all seen how powerful he is. Even Thunder God almost died at his hands. If such a top-notch genius did not die, he would definitely be a super expert in the future, but unfortunately, I wonder what he did to make the three saint realms spend so much effort to kill him. The hundreds of experts watching the battle were all discussing. There were some who felt pity, some who praised, and some who were gloating over Jian Wushuang's death. But at this moment Jian Wushuang, who had been dead, suddenly opened his eyes, and his majestic divine power swept out again. What? Thunder God was shocked. How is it possible? Nine Temples Saintess was shocked. What's going on? The surrounding experts who were watching the battle were even more shocked. Apart from being shocked, there was also disbelief. They had just seen Jian Wushuang's soul being destroyed by Nine Temples Saintess' most powerful move, and even his soul aura had completely disappeared. Under normal circumstances, he was already dead. But now, judging from the soaring divine power aura emitted from Jian Wushuang's body, he was clearly still alive, and his soul aura had returned to its peak. His soul had clearly been destroyed, but it had returned to its peak in the blink of an eye. This scene was beyond everyone's understanding. What kind of monster is this kid? Thunder God could not help but shout in a low voice. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. No wonder the top officials of the three saint realms would pay such a high price to kill a rank 6 true saint. It seems that Heavenly Sword Marquis does have a big secret, and even the three saint realms are afraid of it. The Nine Temples Saintess' face turned cold. On the side, the Light King, Silver Wolf, Guzhenzi, Wan Xian, and the others from the three saint realms also looked very serious. Jian Wushuang, on the other hand, looked at Nine Temples Saintess with interest. Nine Temples Saintess, that was your most powerful move, right? It was indeed powerful. My soul couldn't resist it. But unfortunately, you found the wrong person. What do you mean? Nine Temples Saintess stared at Jian Wushuang. It's simple. I, Heavenly Sword Marquis, am not afraid of soul attacks because your soul attacks have no effect on me. If you don't believe me, you can try again, Jian Wushuang said with a cold smile. Few people knew that soul attacks were ineffective against him. However, today, the Nine Temples Saintess destroyed his soul in front of so many people, but he did not die. Therefore, his trump card was naturally exposed. He was too lazy to hide this trick. After hearing Jian Wushuang's words, the Nine Temples Saintess' face completely darkened. She was the immortal saint with the strongest soul in the divine beginning realm. But Jian Wushuang was completely immune to soul attacks? Did this mean that Jian Wushuang was her nemesis? Thunder God and the three saint realms, I have no choice, the Nine Temples Saintess said in a low voice. The experts of the three saint realms looked extremely ugly, while Silver Wolf looked directly at Light King. Light King, this heavenly sword Marquis methods are too strange. I'm afraid that it will be very difficult to kill him, just by relying on the saint realms of the three saint realms. Therefore, I can only ask you to act. You have fused two great principles. The power of the fusion of these two great principles is enough to destroy heaven and earth. Even divine power can be destroyed. If you act, this heavenly sword Marquis might not be able to withstand it. I can try. Light King did not refuse. With a whoosh, he appeared on the battlefield and swung the green long staff in his hand. It looked simple, but this staff had perfectly combined the two principles of light and wind, making it several times more terrifying. Even an expert like Di Hao, who was qualified to be in the top 3 on the True Saint list, and could barely superimpose the two principles, could not resist this staff. But now, this strike was directed at Jian Wushuang. Buzz! The mighty strike came straight at Jian Wushuang. The moment Jian Wushuang saw the strike, he immediately felt that he could not resist it. Is this the power formed by the fusion of the two principles? Jian Wushuang stared at the long staff in front of him. He carefully felt the power contained in the strike, until the strike was less than 3 meters away from him. Then he waved the long spear in his hand. A trace of violent aura swept up. It was the peerless sword technique Shi Xiang. Although he knew that his sword could not withstand a single blow from the staff shadow of the Light King, Jian Wushuang did not want to sit still and wait for his death. Bang! The terrifying power instantly destroyed Jian Wushuang's sword form, and completely covered Jian Wushuang's divine body. Jian Wushuang's divine body collapsed at the first moment, but the power of the two fused principles contained in the staff shadow was still wantonly destroying Jian Wushuang's divine power. It must be noted that when the Light King killed the invincible saint, he only used one staff to kill him, which prevented him from regenerating his divine body, because the power of the integration of rules, contained in the King of Light's staff skill, could directly destroy a cultivator's divine power. The invincible saint's divine body was destroyed at the same time. His divine power was also completely destroyed by the principle's fusion power, contained in the staff skill. But now the principle's fusion power faced Jian Wushuang. Buzz! In just a moment, Jian Wushuang's divine body was rebuilt again. Chapter 32-32. Risk your life in the void. Jian Wushuang stared at Light King. As expected of Light King, who was ranked first on the True Saint list, his fusion power of the two principles is really strong. Not only did he destroy my divine body, but he also destroyed my divine power, causing me to lose 1/30th of my divine power. Jian Wushuang sighed in his heart. 1/30th? Do not underestimate this number. Because he was a perfect chaotic creature, his divine power was more than 100 times greater than that of an ordinary cultivator. Like before, Thunder God had defeated his divine body 10 times, but he did not use up much of his divine power. But now, with just one strike, the Light King had used up 1/30th of his divine power. With his current realm, 1/30th of his divine power was much greater than the divine power of many invincible saints. No wonder Light King can kill invincible saints with one strike, Jian Wushuang exclaimed. Everyone's eyes were fixed on Jian Wushuang. He's not dead. No, but his divine power aura seems to be slightly weaker than before. Yes, it's weakened. Although it's very weak, as long as his divine power aura is weakened, it means that his divine power is not infinite. As long as he keeps attacking and destroying his divine power, he can be killed completely. Yes. The eyes of the experts from the three saint realms flashed with a fierce light. Let's attack him together, Silver Wolf shouted. and then directly attacked Jian Wushuang. After Silver Wolf attacked, Thunder God, Gu Zhenzi, Wan Xian, and the Invincible Saints and Peak Saints from the Destruction Saint realm all attacked at the same time. In addition to Light King and Nine Temples Saintess, many top experts used their Destruction Divine Bodies and Divine Power to crazily attack Jian Wushuang. This scene shocked the surrounding spectators. What a guy! He just wants to kill a rank 6 true saint. But he wants the 3 saint realms, Light King, and 9 Temples Saintess to work together to kill him? Heavenly Sword Marquis is not very strong, but he is too strong and difficult to kill. The 3 saint realms probably can't do anything about it. In any case, Heavenly Sword Marquis is able to force the 3 saint realms, Light King, and 9 Temples Saintess to join hands to kill him. Even if he dies, he should be proud. The people on the scene discussed animatedly. Jian Wushuang, who had become the target of many experts, suddenly burst into laughter. There was a hint of madness in his laughter. Haha, if you want to kill me, then come at me. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. At the same time, Jian Wushuang flipped his palm, and a drop of golden water appeared in his hand. The faces of the people from the 3 saint realms changed when they saw the golden water drop. God's power. God's power was condensed by the Principles Masters, and it contained part of the power of the will of the Principles Masters. Some immortal saints who were at the peak level could absorb God's power to guide the power of the will contained in the period, which would increase their strength in a short period of time. However, the power of the will of the Principles Masters was not so easy to control. If they were not careful, they would be doomed. Therefore, under normal circumstances, no one would easily consume divine power. However, when it was a matter of life and death, no one would care about it. For example, Jian Wushuang took out a drop of divine power and immediately swallowed it. Of course, the reason why he swallowed it was not because it was a matter of life and death. However, his physique was too special. After consuming divine power, he was not worried about the backlash from the power of the will. Naturally, there was no need to worry about the divine power. Is this the willpower power controlled by the Principles Master? Although it's just a trace, it still feels very strong. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands. After he swallowed the divine power, he could control the trace of willpower power for a short period of time, and he could clearly feel the strength of the trace of willpower power. Get lost! Jian Wushuang's voice shook the sky. He held the sword with one hand and suddenly waved it. The moment the sword light was waved, the endless power of ice and fire swept out, forming a huge ice and fire domain that suppressed the surrounding people. At the same time, a wave of space-time power was released. Rumble! The endless space-time pressure was crazily applied to the void in front of him. Peerless sword technique, Emperor's Blood Massacre. Under the pressure of space and time, it was a peak saint from the Destruction Saint realm. Facing the shocking sword light, this peak saint felt an incredible pressure. He could only raise his heavy sword with difficulty, but in the end, bang! With a low and loud sound, this peak saint's divine body was directly destroyed. Be careful. Heavenly Sword Marquis is going to risk his life. Humph, so what if he swallowed the divine power? His battle strength is only at the peak saint realm. After swallowing the divine power, with the help of the power of his will, his battle strength can at most be upgraded to the Invincible Saint realm. In addition to the suppression of his domain, he is probably only slightly stronger than the Invincible Saint. He can't even touch the true saint list. What does his battle strength count for in front of us? Thunder God looked at Jian Wushuang with disdain. Light King, 9 Temples Saintess, Silver Wolf, Gu Zhenzi, and Wan Xian, who were experts on the true saint list, did not care about Jian Wushuang's strength at all. They swarmed forward and used their monstrous skills to easily crush Jian Wushuang, who was fighting desperately. Then, they continued to attack Jian Wushuang's divine body in a frenzy. Under the siege of these people, Jian Wushuang's divine body was destroyed, again and again, especially the attack of Light King, which contained the 2 powers of integration. Each attack greatly destroyed Jian Wushuang's divine power. Just like that, They surrounded and attacked Jian Wushuang for a long time. During this time, Jian Wushuang's divine body was destroyed countless times. The divine power aura on Jian Wushuang's body finally became extremely weak. On the battlefield, the people from the three Saint Realms had also stopped fighting. Many experts stood together and stared at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang looked extremely miserable at the moment. His divine power aura had been weakened to the lowest point. If it were to be calculated, his divine power aura was only 10% of his peak. In terms of divine power, he indeed had less than 10% of his divine power left. This kid can't hold on anymore. Thunder God stared at Jian Wushuang. He has held on for so long under our joint attack. Heavenly Sword Marquis should be proud of himself, Silver Wolf said. Chapter 32-33, Magic Tricks? In the space-time sealed by the Golden Formation, everyone's eyes were fixed on the miserable-looking Jian Wushuang. They could feel his extremely weak divine power aura, and his nearly dried-up divine power. If there was one word to describe the current Jian Wushuang, it would be that he was at the end of his rope. It was obvious that he had reached his limit. At least, that was what everyone present thought. Heavenly Sword Marquis. A deep voice rang out, but it was the powerful Light King who spoke. I, Light King, have roamed the divine beginning realm for so many years. Among the immortal saints, there are very few that I like. As for those that I admire, there are none. But today, I have to admire you. I admire the vast divine power you possess. Ah, your divine power is too vast. It's much more vast than any immortal saint I've ever seen. Even a special life form like the Devil Sage can't compare to you in terms of divine power. But unfortunately, in front of absolute power, no matter how thick your divine power is, it can only let you live for a little longer. And in the end, you still have to die. As Light King said this, he secretly praised Jian Wushuang in his heart. Jian Wushuang's vast divine power had indeed shocked him. In addition, Jian Wushuang's terrifying ability to jump levels made him admire Jian Wushuang. If it were not for the three Saint Realms giving him conditions that he could not refuse, he really did not want to attack Jian Wushuang. Unfortunately, it was already a foregone conclusion, so there was nothing he could do. As for the experts of the three Saint Realms, they were secretly shocked by Jian Wushuang's incredible divine power. At the same time, they secretly heaved a sigh of relief. There was nothing they could do. Jian Wushuang was too difficult to deal with. He was only a rank 6 true saint, but he was already so difficult to kill. If he was allowed to grow for a while longer, it would be even more difficult to kill him. Once he became a principal's master, perhaps even the three Saint Realms would not be able to do anything to him. Fortunately, they had finally pushed Jian Wushuang to his limit. No matter what, the terrifying guy in front of them was about to die. However, just when everyone thought that Jian Wushuang was at the end of his rope, a strange smile suddenly appeared on the corner of Jian Wushuang's mouth. His eyes were filled with amusement as he glanced over the experts of the three Saint Realms one by one. He also swept his gaze over the Light King and the 9 Temples Saintess. After a long while, he said leisurely, Interesting. It seems that all of you think that I'm dead for sure. Thunder God's pupils constricted. Silver Wolf, Gu Zhenzi, Wan Xian, and the other experts of the three Saint Realms, including the other experts, had a bad premonition in their hearts. Under their gazes, Jian Wushuang suddenly closed his eyes. In the next moment, the extremely weak divine power aura on his body suddenly began to increase at a terrifying speed. Yes, it was increasing crazily. Not only the divine power aura, but also the nearly exhausted divine power on his body surged up again at this moment. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Waves of astonishing divine power suddenly swept out from Jian Wushuang's body and swept in all directions in an instant. Under everyone's incredulous gazes, in just a moment, Jian Wushuang's divine power, including the divine power aura emitted from his body, had completely recovered. In just a moment, he had returned to his peak condition. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. This. Are you kidding me? Oh my god, am I dreaming? How could this be? The experts present were all stunned, and even dumbfounded. The people from the three saint realms also opened their mouths wide, and looked at this scene in disbelief. Even the 6 super experts on the true saint list, including Light King, 9 Temples Saintess, Silver Wolf, Thunder God, Guzhenzi, and Wan Xian, were stunned by the sudden scene. They had worked together to exhaust Jian Wushuang. But in the blink of an eye, Jian Wushuang's divine power and condition were restored to the peak? What was going on? Was it a magic trick? Jian Wushuang sneered in his heart when he saw the stunned expressions on their faces. If I didn't have enough confidence, why would I waste my time with you? Jian Wushuang sneered. Yes, he had expected this scene from the beginning. He also guessed that the experts of the three saint realms would join hands to kill him and force him into a desperate situation. However, the desperate situation in the eyes of ordinary cultivators was nothing like that in Jian Wushuang's eyes. It was true that he had used up 90% of his divine power and was almost exhausted. But do not forget that Jian Wushuang had once cultivated a special secret skill. This secret skill was the Emperor's Order skill that Shuebei had taught him. The Emperor's Order skill could be used to refine an Emperor's Order doppelganger and allow the doppelganger to store divine power equivalent to his own in case of emergency. Jian Wushuang had already cultivated the Emperor's Order skill. He had also refined an Emperor's Order doppelganger with the help of the corpse of a principal's master that he had obtained from the Shuebei mystic realm. This Emperor's Order doppelganger contained divine power equivalent to his own. Just now, he had used up more than 90% of his divine power. However, because of the existence of the Emperor's Order clone, he had infused the divine power in the Emperor's Order clone into his own body. So his divine power naturally recovered in an instant. His condition immediately returned to its peak. This method was something that the three saint realms had not expected. Three saint realms, I've already said that you're not qualified to kill me. Jian Wushuang's indifferent laughter spread throughout the void. The experts of the three saint realms were all excited. Even the Light King and the 9 Temples Saintess looked a little pale. Humph, so what if your divine power is restored? At most, it'll kill you again, and you'll be exhausted. I don't believe you can use the same trick again, Silver Wolf said coldly. Oh, Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows and then smiled. You're right. I can restore my divine power to its peak in an instant. It's already good enough for me to use this trick once. It's impossible for me to use it a second time. But I don't intend to continue fighting with you. It's enough for me to play with you for so long. It's time for me to leave. Ridiculous. This space-time has been completely sealed by my magic formation. Do you want to leave? Where can you go? Guzhenzi smiled disdainfully. He was very confident in his golden magic formation. Is that so? Jian Wushuang's lips curled into a special arc. Then his figure flashed and disappeared without a trace. Chapter 32-34 had been played. What is this? Teleportation. Seeing that Jian Wushuang had disappeared, and that even the Light King and the 9 Temples Saintess could not detect him, the experts of the three saint realms were stunned. The next moment, they burst out in exclamations. How is this possible? Impossible, Guzhenzi shouted on the spot. This space-time is completely sealed by my golden array. How can he teleport in this space-time? This is absolutely impossible. Impossible. It was impossible. Almost all the experts present found it unbelievable. But soon they thought of a possibility. Could it be that move? Silver Wolf's pupils constricted. The other experts of the three great saint realms, including the Light King and the 9 Temples Saintess, also reacted immediately. Space-time teleportation. It's space-time teleportation. The space-time divine palace master created the move with the strongest life-saving ability of the space-time divine technique. He's just an immortal saint. How could he master space-time teleportation? The surrounding experts were amazed. The space-time divine skill was well known in the divine beginning realm, and most of the people present knew about it. Seeing that Jian Wushuang could still teleport away despite being completely sealed in space-time, everyone thought of space-time teleportation. After understanding the situation, The experts watching the battle all had strange expressions. Heavenly Sword Marquis clearly controlled time and space teleportation, and could leave at will. But he didn't leave at first. Instead, he fought with the three Saint Realms for so long, and left when everyone in the three Saint Realms thought he was cornered. This method? What an interesting scene. As expected, the expressions of the experts of the three great saints' realms have become very ugly. Many people were gloating. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. We've been played. We've actually been played by this Heavenly Sword Marquis? An invincible saint from the Destruction Saint region could not help but shout. Played? Hearing these two words, the three great saint realms, whether it was the Peak Saints, Invincible Saints, Silver Wolf, Thunder God, or Guzhenzi, these top experts on the True Saint list, the Light King and the Nine Temples Saintess were also stunned. Yes, they had been fooled. The other party could have used space-time teleportation at the beginning, but he did not do so. Instead, he fought them head-on, and used his magnificent divine power to tangle with them. Although Jian Wushuang's vast divine power did make them feel difficult to deal with, his divine power was not infinite, and could be continuously consumed. This gave the three Saint Realms hope to kill Jian Wushuang. That was why they spared no effort later. Everyone, including the Light King and the Nine Temples Saintess, attacked together and finally exhausted Jian Wushuang's divine power. It seemed that Jian Wushuang was in a desperate situation. Suddenly, Jian Wushuang's condition returned to its peak? Forget it. After all, even if his divine power was restored again, they could continue to attack and exhaust Jian Wushuang's divine power again. But it would take more effort. However, who would have thought that Jian Wushuang would tell them at the last moment that he had mastered space-time teleportation? That he could leave any time and anywhere? This time no one could calm down. It was obvious that Jian Wushuang was deliberately teasing them. He was making them lose face in front of so many experts. The three Saint Realms had sent so many experts, including Light King and Nine Temples Saintess, and so many people attacked Heavenly Sword Marquis together. After a long time, Heavenly Sword Marquis left their eyes? The three Saint Realms were humiliated. Not only were they humiliated, but they were also praised as a joke. Heavenly Sword Marquis. The Light King stood there and looked at the place where Jian Wushuang had disappeared with a strange look in his eyes. Facing such a terrifying lineup of experts from the three Saint Realms, you could have left, but you insisted on staying with us for such a long time and deliberately made fun of us. Haha, you are really bold and smart. Even the Light King had to admire Jian Wushuang's methods. It was not only the nearly endless divine power, but also the ability to restore the nearly exhausted divine power to its peak in an instant, as well as the time-space teleportation to leave the battlefield. Any one of these methods was enough to shock people. It was enough to shock people. In such a situation, not only can you leave calmly, but you can also play us for a fool. Heavenly Sword Marquis, I have a hunch that you will have a bright future after escaping this encirclement. I hope you and I can meet again and fight again. The Light King smiled indifferently. Then he glanced at Silver Wolf. Silver Wolf, I have done what I should do, but I still can't kill Heavenly Sword Marquis. I can't do anything about it. Goodbye. The Light King did not want to stay any longer. After saying this, his figure flashed and he flew into the distance. After the Light King left, everyone, I will leave too. The Nine Temples Saintess also left. The people of the three Saint Realms watched as Light King and Nine Temples Saintess left. Although they felt a little uncomfortable, they did not stop them. Light King and Nine Temples Saintess were not from the three Saint Realms to begin with. This time, they only agreed to fight because the three Saint Realms gave them conditions that they could not refuse. In the battle just now, it was obvious that both the Light King and the Nine Temples Saintess had used their full strength. Especially the Nine Temples Saintess. She had even used her strongest move, but she could not kill Jian Wushuang. Since they had used their full strength, they naturally could not blame the Light King and the Nine Temples Saintess. They could only blame Jian Wushuang for being too heaven-defying and too powerful. A moment later, the people of the three Saint Realms gathered together. Silver Wolf, Thunder God, Guzhenzi, and Wan Xian all looked extremely unsightly. We can't do anything about it. Heavenly Sword Marquis controlled time-space teleportation. From the beginning we couldn't kill him. He deliberately stayed just to play with us, Thunder God said in a low voice. Time-space teleportation can even ignore time-space seal. To restrict time-space teleportation, unless someone can use time-space seal, few people in the Divine Beginning realm can use time-space seal. More than half of the top principles masters who are qualified to use it are from the Temporal Temple, Thunder God said. There is time and space to move this move in. We want to kill him in the Blood Wave realm. It's simply a fool's dream. Silver Wolf shook his head. Chapter 32-35. With great pleasure. I have no choice. At the thought of Jian Wushuang's boundless divine power and the move of time-space teleportation, the experts of the three saint realms shook their heads and sighed. The move of time-space teleportation alone made them helpless. After all, there were only a group of immortal saints in the Blood Wave realm. They could only seal time-space at most, but they could not use time-space imprisonment at all. Naturally, they could not restrict Jian Wushuang. In other words, Jian Wushuang could leave and come as he pleased in the Blood Wave realm. No one killed him. Report. We can't kill Heavenly Sword Marquis with our ability anymore. Thunder God sighed and took out the token to send a message. In the magnificent palace, when the Nether Sky Master learned what happened in the Blood Wave realm from Thunder God, even the Nether Sky Master was silent for a long time. After a long time, Sky Nether Master finally spoke. That Heavenly Sword Marquis divine power is very vast. This is within my expectations. After all, the levels of life are different. Previously, the Sorcerer God sect sent 3 Law Masters to kill this Heavenly Sword Marquis. In the end, under the encirclement of these 3 Principles Masters, he was able to hold on for a very long time, and his divine power did not dry up. However, other than the vastness of his divine power, he has even mastered space-time teleportation. This is beyond my expectations. Lord Nethersky, the Heavenly Sword Marquis can use space-time teleportation. With the power of us immortal saints, it is impossible to kill him, Thunder God said. I know this. Nethersky Master nodded slightly. Forget it, Thunder God. You guys continue to explore the Blood Wave realm. As for the Heavenly Sword Marquis, you guys don't need to bother about him. I will think of other ways to kill him. What you need to do is to be as cautious as possible of him and prevent him from attacking you. Also, don't let him get the opportunities in the Blood Wave realm. You must remember this. After all, he is just an immortal saint, yet he is already so difficult to deal with. Once he becomes a Principles Master, it will be even more difficult to kill him. Nether Sky Master reminded. Yes. Thunder God nodded respectfully. Soon, Thunder God left, while Nether Sky Master stood alone in the palace, his gaze slowly becoming misty. If I can't kill him in the Blood Wave realm, I'll have to kill him outside the realm. In that case, the Temporal Temple will certainly intervene. Thanks. It seems that the 3 Saint Realms and the Temporal Temple will inevitably have a big fight. The leisurely voice echoed in the palace and did not disappear for a long time. The Blood Wave realm was near the center of the void. Buzz! Jian Wushuang appeared out of thin air. After he appeared, he let out a long sigh, and then a playful smile appeared on his face. I deliberately fought with them for a long time, and I deliberately let them see the hope of killing me. In the end, I used space-time teleportation and left. I guess the people of the 3 Saint Realms must be mad with anger. In this battle, Jian Wushuang did deliberately make fun of the experts of the 3 Saint Realms. Of course, this was not all. Even making fun of the 3 Saint Realms was not 1/3 of Jian Wushuang's purpose. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. His real purpose was to train himself through this battle. After all, his strength was still too weak, and the previous battle was only at the level of a peak saint. As for the invincible saint, although they had fought before, the time was very short. Jian Wushuang could not fully sense the opponent's strength and the huge gap between them. But this time, Jian Wushuang fought to his heart's content. From the beginning to the end of the battle, he had been crushed and trampled over. But at least he had a great understanding of the opponent's strength. He also felt the strong pressure from the opponent, the gap between his strength and his own. Therefore, he had gained a lot from this battle. The most important point was that this battle gave him a faint sense of an opportunity to make a breakthrough. Yes, it was an opportunity to make a breakthrough. In the 300 years of meditation on the time-space island, his realm had greatly improved, from a rank 4 true saint to the limit of a rank 6 true saint. Jian Wushuang had thought that he would stay at the 6th rank true saint realm for a long time. But this battle was besieged by the 3 experts of the saint realm, the Light King, the 9 temple saintess, and others. He could vaguely sense the opportunity to make a breakthrough. Although the opportunity was not clear, Jian Wushuang still caught it. It has only been 10 days since the Blood Wave realm opened. There is still some time before the Blood Wave token is born. I can make it in time. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands, his eyes shining. Now I should find a place to cultivate in seclusion, and think of a way to make a breakthrough. Once I make a breakthrough, and reach the rank 7 true saint realm, my strength will be greatly enhanced with my secret skills. In addition, there is the Blood Blade Swordsmanship. The battle between Duan Lang and Lu Cheng has touched me a lot. If I have the chance, I will master the Blood Drop move. When I use the Shadowless Escape skill with the rank 7 True Saint Realm cultivation, and the Blood Drop move, I will be able to kill even an invincible saint. Jian Wushuang's heart was racing. Without hesitation, he found a quiet place nearby, and opened a temporary cave mansion. So he began to cultivate in seclusion. While Jian Wushuang was in seclusion, the battle in the Blood Wave realm caused a huge wave. Countless peak saints in the Blood Wave realm were shocked by the battle. The 3 saint realms are already very powerful. They even invited 2 experts, Light King and 9 temple saintess, just to kill a rank 6 true saint of the temporal temple. What a big deal! It is indeed generous, but the key point is that at the end of this battle, the Heavenly Sword Marquis used space-time teleportation in front of so many experts of the 3 saint realms. This is simply a slap to the 3 saint realms' faces. Thanks, fighting with the 3 saint realms alone for so long. The Light King and the 9 temple saintess have already made their moves. With so many experts attacking, they didn't manage to kill the Heavenly Sword Marquis. Instead, they were played by the Heavenly Sword Marquis. The people of the 3 saint realms are really useless. Trash, what a bunch of trash. Hee, the 3 saint realms have lost a lot of face this time. Actually, it's not that the 3 saint realms aren't powerful. You have to know that the Light King and the 9 temple saintess are both there. It can only be said that Heavenly Sword Marquis is too powerful. In the central region of the Blood Wave realm, every corner was talking about this battle. Chapter 32-36. Survival First. The battle between the 3 saint realms and Jian Wushuang had been witnessed by so many people that it was impossible to keep it a secret. Almost all the immortal saints in the Blood Wave realm had received the news of this battle, and the people from the Temporal Temple were no exception. Thanks, the Heavenly Sword Marquis has mastered the move of space-time teleportation. No wonder he is so confident in his life-saving ability. With this move, at least in the Blood Wave realm, no one can really threaten him, Duan Lang said with a smile. The 3 saint realms have suffered a great loss this time, Yu also said. Everyone, guess what the forces of the Divine Beginning realm will say about the Heavenly Sword Marquis after this battle? Qian Hongzi suddenly asked. What will they say? Duan Lang and the others immediately looked over with a hint of expectation in their eyes. After this battle, the forces of the Divine Beginning realm will have many comments about the Heavenly Sword Marquis. There are all kinds of comments, but this comment in my hand is quite pertinent. Take a look, everyone. Qian Hongzi took out a token. Duan Lang and the others immediately looked over. This comment was indeed very pertinent. It mentioned that Jian Wushuang was only at rank 6 True Saint Realm, and then carefully analyzed the previous battle. Some of Jian Wushuang's trump cards were also analyzed very well. For example, Jian Wushuang had the Solitary Hell move, which almost caused Thunder God to fall. Of course, the highest evaluation of Jian Wushuang was his life-saving ability. Heavenly Sword Marquis is suspected to be a special life form. His soul is very special. Ordinary soul attacks are ineffective, and he has incredible divine power. Under the siege of the 3 Saint Realms, Light King, and 9 Temples Saintess, he lasted for a long time. In the end, his divine power was restored to its peak like a magic trick. It's not clear whether his divine power is really endless. At the same time, Heavenly Sword Marquis has mastered the move of time-space teleportation. The evaluation clearly described some of Jian Wushuang's abilities. For example, time-space teleportation was explained in detail. Finally, a comprehensive evaluation was given. He has nearly unlimited divine power, and his soul attacks are ineffective. In addition, he has mastered the move of time-space teleportation. Although he is weak and can only be considered a relatively strong peak saint, his life-saving ability is enough to rank first among the many immortal saints in the divine beginning world. After reading this evaluation, Duan Lang's expression became very interesting. Life-saving ability first? Among all the immortal saints in the divine beginning realm, life-saving ability first? Is this referring to the Heavenly Marquis brothers? If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. The people from the Temporal Temple were all a little shocked. After all, this was the entire divine beginning realm. The divine beginning realm was vast and boundless. There were countless experts and countless immortal saints. Just this time, there were many peak immortal saints in the Bloodwave realm. Moreover, these peak immortal saints all had extraordinary methods. Life-saving skills were especially short. Those who reached the level of a peak saint more or less had some life-saving skills. Some of the peak saints' life-saving skills were even more ridiculously powerful. They knew that some people had life-saving skills that even the principal's master could not do anything to. However, under such circumstances, the forces of the divine beginning realm almost universally recognized Jian Wushuang's life-saving skills as the number 1 among the immortal saints. He was number 1. Just like how the Light King was recognized as the number 1 in strength, Jian Wushuang was still very impressive, even though he was the number 1 in life-saving ability and not in battle strength. After this battle, the Heavenly Marquis brothers will truly become famous in the divine beginning realm. Their fame will probably be greater than most of the experts on the True Saint list, Duan Lang said. The number 1 in life-saving ability, thanks. You also praised. Oh right, Dihao, you challenged the Light King in that battle. Although you were defeated, your strength was recognized by the Light King. Now the various factions in the divine beginning realm also have a very high evaluation of you. Although that True Saint list has yet to be updated, most people have already ranked you 3rd on the True Saint list. Your fame has also increased by a lot, Qian Hongzi suddenly said. Hearing this, Dihao only nodded slightly, but his expression was still very cold. Indeed, in addition to Jian Wushuang's shock at the entire Bloodwave realm, the battle between Dihao and the Light King also attracted a lot of attention. It was just that Jian Wushuang temporarily overshadowed Dihao's limelight. However, there was no doubt that Dihao had the battle strength of the top 3 on the True Saint list. In any case, since the Heavenly Marquis brothers escaped from the 3 Saint realms, we didn't lose anything this time. On the contrary, the 3 Saint realms lost a lot of face. It's already very profitable, Qian Hongzi said with a smile. By the way, where are the Heavenly Marquis brothers now? Do you want us to meet up with him? I just contacted him. He said that he is in seclusion and won't be with us for the time being, Duan Lang said with a strange tone. Seclusion? Qian Hongzi was stunned, but then he smiled. Maybe he gained something from the previous battle. We don't need to care about it. We'll just go on our own adventures. After the Heavenly Marquis brothers come out of seclusion, he should come back to meet us. Besides, with his life-saving ability, he can do whatever he wants in the Bloodwave realm alone. Hearing this, everyone laughed. While the entire Bloodwave realm was shocked and excited by Jian Wushuang's battle, the main character of this incident, Jian Wushuang, began to cultivate in a cave mansion. In the cave mansion, Jian Wushuang sat alone with his legs crossed. His body was filled with surging divine power. He was preparing and accumulating his strength. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. During these 3 days, Jian Wushuang had adjusted his condition to the peak, and his divine power had also reached the limit. At this moment, he flipped his palm, and immediately, divine power fruits emitting a tempting fragrance appeared in front of him. These divine power fruits were prepared by Jian Wushuang before he entered the blood wave realm. Divine power fruits could quickly accumulate divine power. During the 300 years that Jian Wushuang had spent on the time-space island, the reason why he was able to increase his realm so quickly was that he had just reached this realm. He would immediately accumulate divine power to reach the peak of this realm through the divine power fruit. However, besides accumulating divine power, the divine power fruit could also be used to make a breakthrough. After all, to break through a realm by force, a large amount of divine power was needed. Let's begin. Jian Wushuang took a deep breath and swallowed the divine power fruits in front of him. He swallowed more than 10 divine power fruits in one breath. After these divine power fruits entered his body, they immediately turned into a large amount of pure divine power. Chapter 32-37 had begun 2 hours later. Boom! Jian Wushuang's body suddenly shook, and the divine power aura on his body immediately began to change drastically. Rank 7 True Saint were here. Jian Wushuang opened his eyes, a hint of surprise flashing in them. He had thought that his breakthrough would take some effort, but in fact, his breakthrough was very smooth. He relied on his accumulated divine power to attack again and again. After only a dozen times, the barrier was broken. After he reached the rank 7 True Saint realm, his divine power immediately began to change. The power of his divine power rose to another level. It's a pity that I don't have enough time, and I don't have that many divine power fruits. Otherwise, I could have directly reached the peak of rank 7 by relying on the divine power fruits, Jian Wushuang sighed. However, Jian Wushuang was very satisfied, even though he was only at the 7th rank. Before he had made the breakthrough, his divine power had been fully unleashed because of his special life level and the secret skills he had cultivated. It was comparable to that of an ordinary invincible saint. Now that he had made the breakthrough from a rank 6 True Saint to a rank 7 True Saint, his divine power had soared again. In terms of pure power, he was now stronger than many invincible saints. Even the experts on the True Saint list were not as strong as him in terms of basic divine power. Compared with the experts on the True Saint list, his divine power was so strong that he could only comprehend the principles. There was a gap between him and the absolute arts. However, it was impossible for him to make up for this gap in the blood wave realm. It's still some time before the blood wave token comes into being, and during this time, it depends on whether I'm lucky enough to completely master the blood drop 1 move. Jian Wushuang's eyes flashed with a fierce light. Soon, he closed his eyes again and began to comprehend. Time continued to pass. In the blood wave realm, although the blood wave token still had not come into being, all kinds of fights were going on. Many unknown people had appeared one after another. Although they were not famous, they were exceptionally powerful. Some of them had even caused quite a big impact on the True Saint list. In short, while everyone was waiting for the blood wave token to appear, the blood wave realm was in a frenzy. Because there were too many experts that had appeared and caused too much impact on the True Saint list, the True Saint list had been changed 5 times. The current ranking of the True Saint list was very different from before, especially the top 10 positions. The current top 10 ranks of the True Saint list were as follows. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. First on the True Saint list, the Light King, Lone Warrior. Second on the True Saint list, the Saint Devil's Son, Heaven Cleaving Alliance. Third on the True Saint list, the Nether Sky Emperor, Lone Warrior. Fourth on the True Saint list, Dihao, Temporal Temple. Fifth on the True Saint list, 9 Temples Saintess, Suspected 9-tailed Race. Sixth on the True Saint list, Divine Master Ku, Heavenly Ancestor Taoist Sect. 7th on the True Saint list, Silver Wolf, Life and Death Saint Realm. 8th on the True Saint list, Cold Heart, Supreme Oblivion Valley. 9th on the True Saint list, Thunder God, Destruction Saint Realm. 10th on the True Saint rank, Snow Saint, Burning Heart Heavenly Sect. In the top 10 rankings, Nether Sky Emperor, Cold Heart, and Snow Saint were all powerful warriors who suddenly appeared in the Bloodwave realm. Especially the Nether Sky Emperor, who was ranked 3rd after suppressing Dihao and the 9 Temples Saintess. Even the top 10 had such a change, and the rankings below the top 10 had even greater changes. Time passed, and in a flash, the Bloodwave realm had been opened for a whole month. In the central region of the Bloodwave realm, 3 figures gathered in a desolate mountain. These 3 people came from the same sect. There was an invincible saint and 2 peak saints. This lineup could be considered pretty good in the Bloodwave realm. Senior Brother Z, have you heard? Lei Ao of the Starless Palace was defeated by someone. Moreover, he was easily defeated. A slightly plump middle-aged man said. Of course I know about this. The purple-haired, purple-eyed young man sneered. I've dealt with Lei Ao before. He's indeed very strong. I'm not his match in a one-on-one fight. Because of this, every time we meet, he always acts superior to me, which makes me very unhappy. However, in the Bloodwave realm, there are as many experts as the clouds, and there are countless invincible saints. There are also many people who are stronger than Lei Ao. If he dares to be so arrogant again, I'm afraid he won't even know how he died. The purple-haired, purple-eyed young man's words clearly carried a hint of schadenfreude. That's true, but it also fully illustrates the dangers of the Bloodwave realm. There are too many experts here. With the 3 of us, we are nothing in this place. Therefore, the 3 of us must be extremely careful when snatching the Bloodwave token. The last person said. Of course. If there's a chance, we'll snatch the Bloodwave token. But if there aren't certain conditions, we must treat it calmly, said the purple-haired, purple-eyed young man. At this moment, boom, the ground suddenly shook, as if something was soaring into the sky. Then, the 3 of them immediately sensed a special fluctuation coming from nearby. This fluctuation made their pupils shrink. This fluctuation, this is the Bloodwave token, the birth of the Bloodwave token. Is it finally about to begin? And the place where the first Bloodwave token was born happens to be near us? The purple-haired, purple-eyed young man's eyes flashed with a demonic purple light. We're in a relatively remote area in the central area. I've observed before that there are only a dozen or so people around us. And most of them are alone. And they're all peak saints. There's not a single invincible saint. With the strength of the 3 of us working together, we have at least a 50% chance of getting it. When they thought of this, their eyes immediately turned scarlet. Quick, hurry over. No matter what, we must take this Bloodwave token. Anyone who dares to stop us will be killed without mercy. Just a month after the Bloodwave realm opened, the first Bloodwave token finally appeared. After the birth of this Bloodwave token, it immediately attracted many experts from nearby to rush over to fight over it. Following that, a large-scale chaotic battle began. This battle lasted for an hour before the Bloodwave token was obtained by Divine Master Ku, who was ranked 6th on the True Saint list. The battle for the first Bloodwave token ended. However, everyone knew that with the birth of the first Bloodwave token, the cruel slaughter within the Bloodwave realm began. Chapter 32-38. Enemies have a narrow road __ in the middle of the Bloodwave realm. 5 figures were slowly moving forward. Upon closer inspection, the expressions of these 5 people were not very good, especially the handsome young man in the lead, who was wearing a luxurious silver robe. There was even a hint of viciousness in his eyes, as if he knew that this handsome young man was furious. The 4 people behind him did not dare to say a single word on the way. Bastard! That Bloodwave token was already in our hands. But Divine Master Ku took it away. Divine Master Ku, this handsome young man, who was also the famous carefree young master of the Divine Beginning realm, was so angry that he gritted his teeth. Just now, the first Bloodwave token was born. He happened to be not far from here. And he was also the first to participate in the competition. His own strength was extremely strong, and he had the help of these 4 powerful immortal saints behind him. He easily took the Blood Wave token. But just as he was about to leave with the token, Divine Master Ku arrived. Divine Master Ku was one of the top 10 existences on the True Saint list. Once he arrived, even if it was just one person, he could easily crush them. In the end, the Blood Wave token fell into Divine Master Ku's hands. Meanwhile, they had worked for nothing. In fact, during the struggle, some people had almost lost their lives. Divine Master Ku was ranked 6th on the True Saint ranking. Indeed not his match in a one-on-one fight. Unfortunately, the dark killing array that I specially prepared before entering the Blood Wave realm went awry. The Blood Eagle, that was most suitable to control the principles of death, was killed. Although I changed a person at the last minute, this person's comprehension of the principles of death is not as good as Blood Eagle's. His control of the dark cleaving formation is not as good as Blood Eagle's. When he works with us, his power is greatly reduced. He can't use the true power of this formation. Otherwise, why would I be afraid of Master Ku? Carefree young master was indeed very angry. It's depressing. He is the #1 genius of Shaorao Mansion. His own strength is really outstanding, all qualified for the True Saint list. And he took the opportunity of the Blood Wave realm very seriously. So before entering the Blood Wave realm, he had begun to prepare, not only carefully with him into the Blood Wave realm with the strong, and he also specially prepared an incomparably powerful joint attack array. Is this Killing Ming array? This dark cleaving formation was executed by a total of 5 people working together. Moreover, these 5 people had to comprehend several different principles, and the principle of death was one of them. Previously, he had carefully selected a few people who had already been confirmed to be in control of the dark cleaving formation. Those people had already become extremely familiar with the control of the formation. If they were to work together with him, they would definitely be able to unleash an extremely powerful might. However, just as the Blood Wave realm was about to open, Shuang, who controlled the corner of the Death Principles formation, died. He died at the hands of Jian Wushuang, Heavenly Sword Marquis. I heard that he used the 3 Saint Realms. The experts of the 3 Saint Realms came together, and they even invited Light King and 9 Temple Saintess, but they failed to kill him. The 3 Saint Realms are really useless. Master Xiaoyao hated Jian Wushuang, especially after the battle. Of course, he hoped that the 3 Saint Realms could kill Jian Wushuang before. However, that was not the case. While Master Xiaoyao was angry, a figure slowly floated toward them. Master Xiaoyao and the others immediately looked over and quickly saw the appearance of the person. This appearance, Master Xiaoyao was stunned. The 4 people behind him also looked very strange. Jian Wushuang was now very famous in the Blood Wave realm, so they had naturally paid attention to him. They had also seen the battle scenes of Jian Wushuang, so they could recognize him at a glance. The young man in a golden robe, carrying a long sword on his back, and emitting the aura of a rank 7 true saint, was undoubtedly Heavenly Sword Marquis. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Heavenly Sword Marquis. It's him. A cold light flashed in young Master Xiaoyao's eyes. I was just talking about Heavenly Sword Marquis. I didn't expect him to appear in front of me in the blink of an eye. It's really a narrow road for enemies. Master Xiaoyao was full of hatred for Jian Wushuang. Now, he met Jian Wushuang, who had just come out of seclusion. The narrow road for enemies was indeed a narrow road for enemies. Let's go. Master Xiaoyao and the other 3 went up to meet him. Jian Wushuang stood in the void and saw the arrival of the 5 people in front of him. He looked calm and did not show any fear. What a joke. Even the experts of the 3 Saint Realms, Light King, and the Saintess could not kill him. In the Blood Wave realm, he could do whatever he wanted. Oh, it's him. When the 5 people approached, Jian Wushuang immediately recognized the leader, young Master Xiaoyao. Young Master Xiaoyao was famous in the Divine Beginning realm. Jian Wushuang had seen his information before, so he could recognize him at a glance. Heavenly Sword Marquis. Young Master Xiaoyao's cold voice echoed between heaven and earth. The 4 people who had followed young Master Xiaoyao immediately spread out and surrounded Jian Wushuang. What? Do you want to fight me? Jian Wushuang looked around indifferently. Heavenly Sword Marquis, I know that your life-saving ability is terrible. All the forces in the divine beginning realm rank you as the best among the immortal saints. It's impossible for us to kill you alone. However, although we can't kill you, we can still teach you a lesson, young Master Xiaoyao said. Teach me a lesson? Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. He was not surprised that he had killed an expert under young Master Xiaoyao's command before entering the Bloodwave realm, which should have affected young Master Xiaoyao's plan. It was normal for him to have some complaints about him. Young Master Xiaoyao, we didn't have a big grudge before. I only killed one of your peak saints. As far as I know, Shuang doesn't have a great relationship with you. He's only useful to you. So I think it's better for us to stay out of each other's way, Jian Wushuang said. Mind your own business? What a joke. You've already killed my man. And you still have the nerve to say that? Master Xiaoyao shouted. Go, use the underworld killing magic formation. I want to torture him to death. Master Xiaoyao also knew that he could not kill Jian Wushuang, but even if Jian Wushuang tortured him once, it would greatly reduce his anger. Buzz, as Master Xiaoyao gave the order, streams of strange power rose directly. Chapter 32-39, Drop of Blood. Alas! Jian Wushuang sighed when he saw this scene. He did not want to fight with young Master Xiaoyao. After all, there was no great enmity between them, so there was no need to fight. But now that young Master Xiaoyao had taken the initiative to attack him, he had no choice but to fight. Since you want to fight, let's do it. Jian Wushuang's eyes shone with a bright light. Buzz! A large amount of divine power instantly rose. At this moment, Jian Wushuang had already used all 3 of his secret skills, and his battle strength immediately increased to the limit. Young Master Xiaoyao and the other 5 surrounded Jian Wushuang in the center. Each of them emitted an extremely strong power of principles. The power of rules was different, but under the influence of the magic formation, they were all connected. Get down! Young Master Xiaoyao, who was in front of Jian Wushuang, held a huge saber in his hand. The saber carried vast flames, and even spread out to form a sea of fire. He was the flame dominator in this sea of fire. With the help of the magic formation, the power of his saber was even more shocking. He swung his saber toward Jian Wushuang. It was obvious that he wanted to crush Jian Wushuang with brute force. Jian Wushuang was not afraid at all when he saw the saber coming toward him. A surge of astonishing sword essence rose up, accompanied by a faint roar that echoed in the world. Jian Wushuang's Blood Mountain sword had already been slashed out. It was the peerless sword technique Shi Xiang. Clang! When the two collided, a crisp sound was produced. Jian Wushuang's body shook slightly, and then he retreated backward. However, Master Xiaoyao's saber was also blocked. Master Xiaoyao looked at Jian Wushuang in surprise and said, This kid blocked my saber attack head-on? After all, he was very strong. In terms of battle strength, he could make it to the true saint list. His full-strength saber attack was extremely powerful, and with the help of the Netherkill magic formation, the power of his saber attack was greatly increased. However, when his saber moved and clashed with Jian Wushuang, he only had a slight advantage? Didn't he say that his strength is only at the peak of the saint realm? He is still far from being an invincible saint, but now his attack power is obviously much stronger than that of an ordinary invincible saint. Young Master Xiaoyao was puzzled, but he soon felt relieved. After all, when Jian Wushuang met the 3 saint realms, he was only a rank 6 true saint. But now, he was obviously a rank 7 true saint. The gap between a rank 6 true saint and a rank 7 true saint was very big, so Jian Wushuang's divine power was greatly enhanced. Humph! Even if you are stronger than before, you will still be completely crushed by the Netherkill magic formation of the 5 of us. Young Master Xiaoyao was absolutely confident. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Beside him, his 4 subordinates also made their moves. Although these 4 were only at the peak saint realm, Their combat strength was extremely strong. Together with the Netherkill array, they could display combat strength that was not inferior to that of an invincible saint. Most importantly, the principles they comprehended were connected. The power of the methods or secret techniques that relied on the power of principles would also greatly increase. Under such circumstances, even if they met a real expert on the true saint list, even if they were in the middle level, they could still fight him head-on. Previously, when they met Master Ku, it was because he was too strong and ranked too high. They had no choice but to deal with him. However, they felt that it was more than enough to deal with Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang fought with the 5 people in the magic formation a few times, and immediately realized that the magic formation was difficult to deal with. Is this the magic formation that Master Xiaoyao specially prepared before entering the Blood Wave realm? Shuang should have been among them, but he was killed by me. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. With this magic formation, I will definitely be crushed in a head-on fight. Forget it, I won't waste time with them. I'll kill them directly. A fierce light flashed in Jian Wushuang's eyes, but in the next moment, his figure flashed and disappeared in the center of the magic formation. He disappeared. It's an escape art. It's his escape art. Unity. Master Xiaoyao glanced at a white-robed elder beside him. The white-robed elder was Saint Unity. He was also a well-known top saint. What the Unity Saint elixir was best at was the soul. Jian Wushuang was famous in the Blood Wave world. Most people knew about his skills and strength, including his life-saving ability, escape art, and assassination skills. As for this escape art, many experts in the Blood Wave realm also knew that a peak saint of the Soul realm could sense his location. Saint Yi happened to have this ability, which was why young Master Xiaoyao dared to attack Jian Wushuang. Humph! Although your escape skill is powerful, it's useless as long as someone can sense your location, young Master Xiaoyao sneered. Saint Yi had released his soul power to the maximum and had instantly sensed Jian Wushuang's existence. Iron Dragon, he's behind you! Saint Yi shouted. The barefooted, messy-haired Saint Iron Dragon immediately turned around and saw Jian Wushuang's figure quietly appearing. He did not make any movements. If Saint Yi had not warned him, Saint Iron Dragon would not have noticed him at all. Now that he had noticed him in advance, Saint Iron Dragon was not afraid at all. Sure enough, with Saint Yi, who is good at soul, around, my shadowless escape skill is still very useful for sneak attacks. But so what if I have reacted in advance? Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. The Blood Mountain sword in his hand suddenly stabbed out. A streak of blood light flashed in the void, as if a drop of blood had suddenly appeared. Saint Iron Dragon had been absolutely confident that Jian Wushuang would not be able to do anything to him after he had detected his figure in advance. However, when Jian Wushuang stabbed out with his longsword, when the sword stabbed out, Saint Iron Dragon instantly revealed a terrified expression. Too fast. Saint Iron Dragon did not have time to think. He desperately tried to swing his weapon to block Jian Wushuang's sword. But it was obvious that his speed could not keep up with the blood-red sword light. The blood-red sword light was not hindered at all. It directly hit the divine body of Saint Iron Dragon. And then an incredible power suddenly burst out. The first move of the bloody sword technique, dripping blood. The sword rose and the blood fell. The most terrifying thing about this sword was not just its speed, but the terrifying power condensed at the tip of the sword and suddenly exploded, instantly piercing through the opponent's divine body. Under this power, Saint Iron Dragon's divine body collapsed on the spot. Chapter 3240 Kill Buzz. In just a moment, Saint Iron Dragon's divine body had recovered. However, after the divine body was reassembled, Saint Iron Dragon was shocked. I lost 70% of my divine power? Saint Iron Dragon was terrified. He was a peak saint and had abundant divine power. If it was just a normal divine body collapse, he would only need to use 20% to 30% of his divine power to reassemble. But now, he had used 70% of his divine power to regroup. It was obvious that Jian Wushuang's attack was extraordinary. And it was true. The Bloodblade sword art was the strongest assassination sword art created by the Bloodblade master. Since it was an assassination, it was natural to hit the target with one strike, without giving the opponent any time to struggle. However, all the cultivators above the immortal saint realm had mastered the immortal body, so it was very difficult to kill the target with one strike. Therefore, the bloody sword skill did not just destroy the opponent's divine body in an instant. At the same time, when the sword blade entered the opponent's divine body, it would release a shocking power. It would also destroy the opponent's divine power to the greatest extent. Just like the sword move that Jian Wushuang had just performed, it had destroyed nearly 40% of the divine power of Saint Iron Dragon's realm, while penetrating the divine body of Saint Iron Dragon's realm. In addition, the Blood Mountain sword had been infused with 3 drops of cold blood venom. The 3 drops of cold blood venom had also crazily eroded Saint Iron Dragon's divine power, causing him to lose 70% of his divine power. How is this possible? How can Heavenly Sword Marquis swordsmanship be so terrifying? I had already discovered his position and seen his sword attack, but I still couldn't block it? Saint Iron Dragon still could not come back to his senses. But at this time, Iron Dragon, be careful! A fierce shout suddenly came from the void beside him. It was Saint Yi who had sensed Jian Wushuang's position through his soul perception. At this moment, Jian Wushuang had appeared behind Saint Iron Dragon, who had reconstructed his divine body. All the pores on Saint Iron Dragon's body stood up instantly, and an unprecedented sense of danger emerged in his heart. At this moment, he wanted to roar and flee frantically. However, under Jian Wushuang's terrifying swordsmanship, all of this was wishful thinking. The same scene appeared. The blood-red sword light once again penetrated Saint Iron Dragon's divine body, and madly destroyed the latter's divine power. Saint Iron Dragon still did not have any ability to resist. This time, he only had 30% of his divine power left. If he was hit again, he would not be able to withstand it at all. Buzz! Saint Iron Dragon's divine body collapsed, and his voice completely disappeared. A powerful peak saint had died. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Iron Dragon, Master Xiaoyao, Saint Yi, and the others were shocked to see this scene. How could this be? Master Xiaoyao's face was full of disbelief. He just wanted to ravage Jian Wushuang once to appease his hatred. At the same time, he also knew that there was a difference in strength between the two sides. In his opinion, with Saint Yi, an expert in the soul, Jian Wushuang could only be crushed and trampled by them. But the result was completely beyond his expectations. When the two sides fought, the power of the underworld killing magic formation on his side had yet to be fully displayed. As a result, Saint Iron Dragon, who was controlling one of the corners of the formation, was killed by Jian Wushuang directly in front of them. He was killed right in front of their eyes. They did not even have time to rescue him. Retreat! Hurry up and retreat! Master Xiaorao gave the order. The 3 saints under him did not dare to stay any longer, and immediately retreated. They knew very well that Jian Wushuang could easily kill Saint Iron Dragon in front of them, while the underworld killing magic formation was intact. Now that Saint Iron Dragon was dead, the underworld killing magic formation would collapse. Naturally, Jian Wushuang could kill the others more easily. Naturally, they did not dare to face Jian Wushuang again. Seeing the 4 people leave, Jian Wushuang had no intention to chase after them. There was not much enmity between the two sides. It was only because young Master Xiaoyao took the initiative to attack that Jian Wushuang fought back. This fight was to test his current strength, and the power of the Shadowless Escape skill, combined with the Bloody Sword skill. It turned out that the combination of the Shadowless Escape skill and the Bloody Sword skill was the most powerful and terrifying assassination method. Saint Iron Dragon had discovered his position in advance, but he could not keep up with the speed of the first move of Blood Drop, nor could he withstand the terrifying power of the first move of Blood Drop. Therefore, the Saint Iron Dragon was killed in just 2 attacks. With the combination of Shadowless Escape skill and the first move of Blood Drop of the sword skill of Blood Blade, I can easily kill a peak saint even with an expert who specializes in soul art. I wonder if I can kill the invincible saint with this assassination technique? Jian Wushuang murmured. An invincible saint was much stronger and more difficult to deal with than a peak saint. In the divine beginning realm, it was very difficult to kill an invincible saint alone, unless the principal's master made a move. Even on the true saint list, only a few people could kill an invincible saint directly. However, Jian Wushuang's shadowless escape skill and the blood drop sword skill could indeed pose a great threat to an invincible saint. After today's fight, I'm afraid that Master Xiaoyao won't dare to come and find trouble with me again. Jian Wushuang smiled and slowly put the Blood Mountain sword back into its sheath. Let's continue to explore. Jian Wushuang began to explore the central area of the Blood Wave realm alone. The central area had now become a huge battlefield. Only one day after the first Blood Wave token was born, the second Blood Wave token was born. Time passed. It was the 34th day since the Blood Wave realm opened. Above the blood-red void, Jian Wushuang was moving forward slowly, but his expression was solemn, because he had just received a message from Qian Hongzi. Although the Blood Wave realm was very special, time and space were not hindered. In the Blood Wave realm, people could communicate normally. Although Jian Wushuang was separated from the people of the Temporal Temple, they had always been in contact with each other. Qian Hongzi would immediately tell him if something big happened in the Blood Wave realm. What Qian Hongzi just told him was where the second Blood Wave token belonged to. Although the second Blood Wave token was born in the central area, it was still a distance away from Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang did not immediately teleport there. After all, he did not know the exact location of the second Blood Wave token. After a fierce battle, the second Blood Wave token fell into the hands of Han Xian, who ranked 8th on the True Saint list. Chapter 3241 was born, Han Xian. Jian Wushuang murmured the name. He had seen the True Saint list after the ranking change, so he knew the origin of Han Xian. Han Xian came from the Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley. According to the introduction of Han Xian on the True Saint list, she was not famous before. Although she was a genius disciple of the Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley, almost no one in the outside world knew about the existence of this task. It seemed that she had suddenly appeared, but she was very strong. Before the Blood Wave token competition began, she had fought with Thunder God, but in the face-to-face fight, she actually had the upper hand. Therefore, in the new True Saint list, he was ranked 8th. Thunder God is the 9th. From the Supreme Emotion Valley, she is very strong, and she didn't have any fame before. It seems that she suddenly appeared. Jian Wushuang muttered to himself. He was wondering if Han Xian was his wife, Lung Rushuang. After all, his wife had been brought to the Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley. Although it had only been a few hundred years, Lung Rushuang in this life was very talented because of her special physique. Even Jian Wushuang could not help but exclaim in admiration. It was not impossible for such an incredible talent to grow to the level of a peak saint under the careful cultivation of a top sect, like the Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley, and to have the battle strength of the top 10 on the True Saint list. Unfortunately, although I know some information about Han Xian, I don't have a mirror image of her fighting with Thunder God, nor do I know her exact appearance. Jian Wushuang frowned. She only knew that Han Xian was also a woman and was extremely beautiful, but he did not know the other features of her appearance. No rush. Since Han Xian has obtained a Blood Wave token, she will definitely enter the Blood Wave Palace in the end. I only need one Blood Wave token to meet her in the Blood Wave Palace. Then I will know if she is Shuang or. Jian Wushuang thought to himself. At this moment, a strange wave suddenly spread out from the void not far away. As the wave spread out, the surrounding void instantly became heated. Jian Wushuang's pupils suddenly shrank. He was not unfamiliar with this wave. Usually, when a treasure was born, it would be accompanied by this special wave. However, this was the Blood Wave realm. So how could any treasure be born? There was only one that would be born, and that was the Blood Wave token, which represented the final opportunity in the Blood Wave realm. A blood wave token has been born, and it's not far away. Jian Wushuang immediately smiled. All the immortal saints who came to the blood wave realm were eager to get the final opportunity in the blood wave realm. Jian Wushuang was no exception. He could not catch up with the birth of the 2 blood wave tokens. But now that the 3rd one was born, he was just in time. Go! Without any hesitation, Jian Wushuang rushed toward the source of the fluctuation. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. When Jian Wushuang appeared at the place where the blood wave token was born, the crazy competition for the blood wave token had already begun. More than 20 immortal saints had been fighting crazily. Most of them were peak saints, but there were also 2 invincible saints. One of them was being surrounded and killed by everyone. This person is Dujio? Jian Wushuang's expression changed. He had read that the person who was being surrounded and killed was a famous invincible saint from the divine beginning realm. He was a solitary expert with no background. As for his strength, Dujio was only average among the invincible saints, but his life-saving ability was not bad. Otherwise, he would not have been able to survive the attacks of these 20 peak saints. Everyone is attacking Dujio. It seems that the blood wave token has fallen into Dujio's hands, Jian Wushuang said softly. With Dujio's life-saving ability, even if the immortal saints joined forces, they wouldn't be able to do anything to him. However, as time passes, more and more people will arrive, especially experts on the true saint list. Unless Dujio hands over the blood wave token, he will definitely die. But it seems that Dujio won't hand over the blood wave token so easily. Jian Wushuang smiled, but then a fierce light flashed in his eyes. He quietly floated toward the battlefield ahead. The battlefield ahead was crazy. More than 20 peak saints and an invincible saint were crazily surrounding and killing Dujio. Numerous roars reverberated through the entire world. Dujio, hand over the blood wave token. Hand over the blood wave token, or else we will fight to the death. Dujio, with your strength, you won't be able to occupy this blood wave token. Numerous voices entered Dujio's ears, and his expression was unusually grave. These fellows are really crazy for the blood wave token. Dujio was blocking the attacks of these people, while secretly circling around. These people alone can't do anything to me. However, the blood wave token has created such a huge commotion. The people around it are probably attracted here. More and more people will rush to the battlefield. Among them, there are some powerful invincible saints. There might even be experts on the true saint list nearby. Therefore, I absolutely can't tangle with them. I have to get rid of them immediately. It seems that I can only use that move. Dujio's eyes flickered with coldness. Since he dared to venture into the blood wave realm alone, he had naturally made some preparations. After obtaining the blood wave token, how would he get rid of them? This was something that he had previously planned and made preparations for. Now, he was already about to start his own plan to get rid of them. But suddenly, an unprecedented palpitation rose from the bottom of Dujio's heart. This palpitation was as if he was about to step into death. This is... Dujio turned his head with great difficulty, only to see a blood-like sword light stabbing toward him explosively. When? Dujio had no idea who had run behind him and executed this sword light. But this sword light was so fast that he had no time to block it. Chi! The sword light pierced through his divine body. No! Dujio let out an unwilling roar, and his divine body collapsed on the spot. However, he was besieged by many experts. It would be disastrous if his divine body was destroyed at this critical moment. Then, before his divine body had completely recovered, the immortal saints who besieged him attacked one after another, not giving him any chance. In just an instant, Dujio died. Chapter 3242. Obtain. Dujio is dead. Quick, take his interspatial ring. The blood wave token must be in his interspatial ring. The blood wave token is mine. Whoever dares to snatch it from me will be killed. The experts who were originally surrounding and killing Dujio immediately went crazy after Dujio died. Numerous burning gazes swept across the void in front of them. In the next moment, They froze on the interspatial ring Dujio had left behind. Over there! Many figures instantly swarmed forward. The one who rushed at the front was the remaining invincible saint. This invincible saint was Saint Purple Dragon. His strength was average among the invincible saints, and he was not famous in the divine beginning realm. However, now that Dujio died, he should be the strongest among the experts present. He was also the one who had the best chance to get the Blood Wave token. We're close. We can get the Blood Wave token soon. The Saint Purple Dragon with long blood-red hair and a wicked face had an unprecedented gleam in his eyes as he watched Dujio's interspatial ring getting closer and closer to him. However, just when he appeared in front of the interspatial ring and was about to take it away, a hand suddenly reached out from the void and grabbed the interspatial ring. Then it was taken back. This scene made Saint Purple Dragon's eyes crack. Put it down! With a roar, Saint Purple Dragon did not care who was in front of him, and he swung the sledgehammer in his hand at lightning speed. The sledgehammer contained an aura that could destroy heaven and earth. It streaked across the space and appeared in front of Jian Wushuang in the blink of an eye. Jian Wushuang's eyes turned cold. Get lost! Jian Wushuang waved his hand, and the Blood Mountain sword turned into a bolt of blood-red lightning and swept out with a shocking evil aura. It was the Peerless Sword Manual Shixiang. When Jian Wushuang used the 3 secret skills at the same time, the power of this move was extremely terrifying. Bang! With a loud sound, your Saint Purple Dragon's body shot out, and he sent 2 people flying in the process. After a long while, the Saint Purple Dragon finally managed to stop. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Who is it? The Saint Purple Dragon raised his head and looked at the void in front of him. He was sent flying with just 1 blow. He did not know his opponent's actual strength, but in terms of strength and power, he was sure that he had reached the level of the true saint list. With Saint Purple Dragon's gaze, he immediately saw Jian Wushuang's appearance. He looks like Heavenly Sword Marquis. Saint Purple Dragon's pupils could not help shrinking. Heavenly Sword Marquis? The Heavenly Sword Marquis, who could not even defeat the experts of the 3 saint realms, the Light King, and the 9 temples saintess? It's him. He was the one who defeated Dujio's divine body in a sneak attack. The Blood Wave token has fallen into the hands of Heavenly Sword Marquis. Many experts on the field looked at Jian Wushuang in unison. Although their eyes were burning with greed for the interspatial ring in Jian Wushuang's hand, no one chose to attack immediately. After all, Heavenly Sword Marquis was too famous. Everyone, Dujio's Blood Wave token has fallen into my hands. Do you want to snatch it from me again? Jian Wushuang smiled faintly, but there was no fear in his voice. There was only indifference and absolute confidence. Hearing Jian Wushuang's words, these experts frowned deeply. Of course, they coveted the Blood Wave token, but no matter how much they coveted it, they had to have the strength to snatch it. Previously, the Blood Wave token had fallen into Dujio's hands. Although Dujio's strength was not bad, and his life-saving ability was not bad, with so many of them working together, they had the ability and great chance to kill Dujio or force him to hand over the Blood Wave token. But against Heavenly Sword Marquis, after all, Heavenly Sword Marquis was in existence that even the combined efforts of the experts of the 3 saint realms, Light King, and 9 temples saintess, could not do anything to. The move of time-space teleportation alone was enough to allow him to run amok in the Blood Wave realm. Now, all the forces in the divine beginning realm recognized that he had the best life-saving ability among the immortal saints. If they wanted to take the Blood Wave token from Jian Wushuang, they would have to kill him. It was impossible. Therefore, although Jian Wushuang was alone, and in front of them, when they saw him take out the Blood Wave token and put it into his interspatial ring, they remained silent. From the beginning to the end, no one made a move. The Saint Purple Dragon was also silent, and did not make a move. It seems that you don't intend to fight for it. In that case, I'll take my leave. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly, and disappeared in a flash. Not long after Jian Wushuang left, whoosh, 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 one figure after another rushed to the battlefield. But by the time they arrived, The fight for the Blood Wave token had ended. What's going on? Who obtained the Blood Wave token? A cold voice came from a middle-aged man in a snow-white robe. There was a flame mark on the middle-aged man's forehead, and he felt extremely violent. Sir, Saint Purple Dragon said with a hint of respect. The Blood Wave token that was just created was taken by the Heavenly Sword Marquis. Heavenly Sword Marquis? Is he Heavenly Sword Marquis of the Temporal Temple? Is he a rank 6 true saint? Flame Emperor asked. Yes, but unlike before, he has reached rank 7 true saint, so his strength is obviously closer. We were trying to kill Dujio, but we couldn't do anything to him in a short period of time. Heavenly Sword Marquis killed Dujio's divine body with one strike. After Dujio died, his interspatial ring fell into Heavenly Sword Marquis' hands. Saint Purple Dragon said. That's troublesome. Flame Emperor frowned. He was ranked 15th on the True Saint list, and was very strong. However, no matter how strong he was helpless when he heard that the Blood Wave token had fallen into Jian Wushuang's hands. Although Heavenly Sword Marquis is not very strong, his life-saving ability is widely recognized as number 1. Even if he appeared in front of me and asked me to kill him, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to kill him, let alone get the Blood Wave token. Thinking of this, he could not help but sigh. I have no choice. I can only wait for the next Blood Wave token to appear. He quickly left. At the same time, the third Blood Wave token that appeared fell into the hands of Heavenly Sword Marquis. This news quickly spread throughout the Blood Wave realm. After receiving this news, all the experts within the Blood Wave realm felt a trace of helplessness in their hearts. They no longer had any thoughts toward this Blood Wave token. After all, treasures were meant for the capable. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.